Strong again. Touchdown. And a standing leaping catch. I'm going to come alive when it's on. Now watch me work.
ACCN Primetime Football presented by Geico. Number 15, North Carolina versus Virginia. Saturday at 8 Eastern on ACCN. Go to getaccn.com for instant access.
Spain and Fitz.
Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians joins us.
Defensively, I knew we could jump to a good start, and we had a lot of guys back. And offensively, it was going to take time, and it's still taking time. It's just a matter of week to week seeing who's available, because we've had a bunch of injuries offensively. So just a matter of seeing who's available and fitting them into the game plan.
Spain and Fitz, weekdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and wherever you stream your audio.
1410 WING AM.
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
We are Dayton's ESPN radio station. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 WING AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the WING Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
For all days that I had to be off yesterday, it had to be yesterday. I had so much smack talk prepared for yesterday, and I could not sit here and be on the air with everybody. I was so disappointed, and I'm pretty sure you enjoyed getting a break, because I think you knew you were in for a long 3 hours yesterday.
But we're here now, though.
We are here now. And we have like 2 days worth of stuff to cram into 1 day's worth of a 3-hour set. So we got a ton to dive into today. Happy Monday. No, it's Tuesday. It's, whatever. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station. And, I feel weird opening up, diving into a game that happened days ago. But, of course, we know everyone wants to discuss what happened on Sunday. Or at least Bengals fans still want to put their head in the sand and hide, which I don't blame you. But we had the resurrection of Baker Mayfield's career. All of a sudden, Kinner is no longer screaming for Matt Ryan. How about that? It's amazing what happens when you remember how to throw a football. It's amazing what happens when you start doing what got you to the NFL to begin with. It's amazing what happens when you lose your number one receiver and somehow that makes you better. I still will not get that, but I think I've heard that from somebody before, that was the problem in Cleveland. I think that was you. You have been on you've been on the side of, hey, OBJ is the problem. Maybe not from a personality standpoint or, the stuff he's been labeled as with the Giants, but there is something there, OBJ's presence, that has ruined the Browns' offense. And I think we saw, again, I know it's 3 quarters against a team that is one of the worst in the NFL, but you saw a completely different Baker Mayfield without OBJ this past Sunday.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that you and I have been talking about on the show since I started co-hosting with you and everything like that, the issues with Baker Mayfield and OBJ. And when I would say those things, some fans would say that I'm hating on OBJ and everything like that. I'm saying he's not that good. Only thing that I ever said that was negative about OBJ was him dropping the ball or him being a distraction with a watch and crazy shoes to go change them in the middle of the game. I never doubted his talent. I never doubted OBJ's talent. He is a superior talent, but something about being on the same page with a person. There's something about, having that rapport with another receiver. You look at how Tom Brady makes, guys like Edelman potential Hall of Famers. And what is Edelman doing now? He's not doing anything now. So my whole big thing about OBJ and Baker was forcing him the ball. Like, yo, I got to get to this playmaker's hands. And when Baker is just basically playing football the way it's supposed to be played, going through his reads, throwing it to the open guy, he plays better football. I mean, I saw that's why I don't rely on stats. That's why I'm not a stat person. I watch the games, I look at what's going on, and I make my searching from there. He looked like himself from his rookie year. He looked like himself from his Oklahoma days. Now, some people are going to say because it's the Bengals defense, which probably is accurate too. But
Joe Burrow was good.
But no. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's something to be said about confidence, though. Once you get your confidence and, quote unquote, swagger back, there's nothing to say that you can't keep that train rolling. There's something to say about that. Like, there's something to say that, that, hey, man, You dropped an interception, literally went through somebody's hands on the game-winning play. Because it's Baker Mayfield, people will say, oh, man, the DB missed the ball. If that's Aaron Rodgers, they're saying, hell of a throw. You know what I'm saying? So it's about equity. Okay, Baker balled out versus the Bengals. Now let's see him ball out versus the Raiders. Let's have our bye week and just ball out versus the next person as well. Let's build up that equity. And more importantly, we want to say well wishes to OBJ, and hopefully he gets back on his feet and back on the field doing what he loves to do very quickly, because that's a devastating injury. I want to make sure we say that. But, I love being right, and I want to see Baker ball out, not because I'm a Browns fan. It's because I love being right.
So this past Saturday or Sunday, again, the Cleveland Browns 37-34. Baker Mayfield again throws the game-winning touchdown. And yes, the defense for the Bengals is bad. But let's be clear. What frustrated me is after the game, you had Baker, who throws 5 touchdowns in a game, who leads the Browns on 4 go-ahead drives in the fourth quarter. A guy that has not looked like he remembers how to throw a football for how long now, and all of a sudden gets it. Now, this is my favorite part. Now, everyone's like, Joe Burrow was the story of that game. Who had the more impressive game, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield? Here's the deal. Both had a fantastic game.
Facts. 2
quarterbacks balled out, no doubt about it. Baker was better for that one game. Who knows what happens moving forward? Bottom line is that one day. And for everyone out there that's like, oh, well, it's easy to do when you go up against the Bengals defense. Folks, that's a cute, adorable theory. It really is. It's a real adorable theory. Corey on Twitter says it's crazy what happens when you play the Bengals defense. But then, more people are tweeting in saying that Joe Burrow looked better than Baker. So when Baker Mayfield looks good, it's because of the Bengals defense. But when Baker Mayfield looks good, when Joe Burrow looks good, it's because he's good. Folks, I'm going to tell you a little secret. If you go do your homework, go look up the stats, the Bengals actually have a better defense against the pass than the Cleveland Browns do. So you can't sit there and discredit what Baker Mayfield did against the Bengals pass defense when Joe Burrow balled out against a pass defense that is actually worse than his own. So please take that theory and shove it where the sun doesn't shine, because it ain't going to fly here today. That is ignorant. Oh, well, Baker's only good because he went up against a bad defense. Burrow went up against an even worse passing defense, but, he was great. Give me a break. Ain't going to work today. That's why I was so angry yesterday. I had to wait a long time to get on the air to discuss this, because people are, it is what it is. And, Baker got the one stat that Bengals fans keep forgetting about that actually matters most, and that's a win. You're bashing Baker all you want, but at the end of the day, he's 5-2, about to be 6-2, heading into a bye week, going to get Nick Chubb back here in a few weeks. Who knows where this team's going? But right now they're winning, and you can't knock that. You can't knock that.
So let's rewind till Sunday. I actually missed the first half of the game because I was voting. So let's rewind to the first pass of the game. What was going on with Kenner during that first pass?
We were at Frickers. We just wrapped up the Sunday morning tailgate show. And for one, by the way, Joe Burrow throws an interception. Mm-hmm. I forgot who even got the interception. Should have downed it in the end zone. Okay, should have down to the end zone. So he ran it out, and I was like, this is brutal. Baker's going to turn it over. You're buried back in your own territory. How do he intercepted it in the end zone. He should have just downed it, got the ball at the 20, 25, whatever, and off you go. Still not the best field position, but you're away from that end zone. Sure enough, boom, Baker throws the interception. I'm like, and here we go. We are off to the races. 0 for 5 in the first quarter, throws the interception. OBJ goes down. He goes on to complete, he completes 22, his final 23 passes, and boom, never look back. Ward got it. Thank you, Shaw. Appreciate that. Ward got that as far as that's concerned. I mean, look, it's the weirdest. So what's going through my head at the time is, here we go. You could tell there was Reggie, the Browns fan there. There was a lot of listeners there that were hanging out with us watching the Browns game, and I'm yelling at every single one of them, go get Matt Ryan. Go get Matt Ryan. Go get Matt Ryan. I leave after the first quarter. I almost wanted to go all the way back just to say, forget Matt Ryan. We're good. Forget Matt Ryan. Forget Matt Ryan. Forget Matt Ryan. Like I said, I'm not going to – look, could this be fool's gold? Should I expect this Baker to be the same Baker every week moving forward? No. But, again, confidence can be a big – that could be a huge factor moving forward. And OBJ not being on the field is a huge difference maker. We are live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, and take a look at this. So Baker Mayfield with OBJ on the field. This is fitting. I mean, it's backing up your theory. You've been right the whole time. Baker Mayfield with OBJ on the field. They've had 1,288 snaps with him on the field. Baker Mayfield has completed only 60% of his passes with OBJ on the field. He has thrown 29 touchdowns to 27 interceptions with OBJ on the field. He only averages 7.2 yards per pass with OBJ on the field. His passer rating is at 78.7 with OBJ on the field. Let's take a look at what his numbers are without OBJ. In 170 snaps, he's completed 64.5 already, an automatic increase there. 6.5 yards per pass. That's slightly less again, but OBJ on the completions, he does present you with that bigger yardage, those bigger plays. But 8 touchdowns to 1 interception. Baker, what that says to me right there is that he no longer forces bad passes. Baker is forcing the ball to OBJ. That's what that stat tells me right there. With OBJ on the field, you're throwing 29 touchdowns to 27 interceptions. With him off the field, you only have 1 interception. That to me shows right there that, again, you're forcing the ball. You're trying to squeeze the ball, and that you cannot do that. Passer rating at about 115.6. The growth is there. The numbers back it up. And to me, it's just like it's a no-brainer. I think that Baker is better without OBJ, but OBJ did nothing wrong here. Right. OBJ's OBJ. I don't know what. It's a weird thing to say. I don't think I can ever recall a time where a good quarterback you look at and say, "Oh, that good receiver makes them worse." But what always happens is when a receiver and quarterback don't work out, we always blame the receiver. We blamed Antonio Brown. We didn't blame Big Ben. I tried to blame Big Ben. I got ridiculed for it. We didn't blame the receiver. We didn't blame the quarterback. We blamed the receiver. When Randy Moss had issues, it was never the quarterback. It was the receiver. When Terrell Owens had issues, it was never the quarterback. It was the receiver. When OBJ has issues, it's always OBJ. Not this time though. Baker was being blamed for OBJ struggles. Baker was being blamed for everything when really we're starting to learn OBJ, through no fault of his own, his presence does not mesh well with Baker Mayfield. That's not a knock on Baker or OBJ. It could be a knock on Baker. I mean, how does ownership look at you and say, well, what are we supposed, when free agency time comes around, all right, we got to get him some weapons, but we got to make sure we don't get him too good of weapons because apparently he doesn't know how to play with too good of weapons. Like, it's a very weird thing to say.
It's a very weird thing. It's a situation from where I was always at with it, that he has a new toy and he wants to make sure this toy shines. And he's just trying too hard. And that's something that, athletes have struggled with a long time. You hear the term from an athlete, he's trying too hard, and you just cringe. Like, what do you mean he's trying too hard? Like, that's their whole job, is to try hard. But he's trying to force passes to a superior playmaker in OBJ, and it's turning out bad. And I saw that halfway through last season, and that's when I basically started saying, like, maybe he should be on the team. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the fact that OBJ is there and he has too many weapons and it's too many things going on with Baker that he can't just process the information and get it to the open guy. Do I believe that OBJ is in his ear saying, hey, man, I was open? Absolutely. Because guess what? Every wide receiver in the NFL is telling their quarterback, hey, man, I was open on that play. So that has nothing to do with OBJ. It has everything to do with, Baker pushing the issue. And he has that gunslinger mentality. He looks up to the Brett Favres of the world. He dressed like Brett Favre on draft night. You know what I'm saying? So that gunslinger mentality, that's how he plays football. And him forcing passes to OBJ led to turnovers, led to their offense being stagnant at times. And I think this is a good thing for the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield, OBJ being off the field. Obviously, I definitely want to make sure I say this. Obviously, we do not want OBJ to be hurt the way he is. Nobody wanted that. You know what I'm saying? Not even.
But it could be a blessing in disguise for this Browns team.
Right.
Moving forward.
We all want OBJ to come back and be on this team and finish out his career and all that great stuff like that. And I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and I'm saying this. So I want to make sure I say that about OBJ, but I think this is going to turn out well for the Browns. I think this is going to turn out back to the way Baker was playing his rookie year. Hey, man, the play gets called. I'm throwing it to the guy that gets open. period. And I'm not forcing the ball to my big-time playmaker.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Tuesday. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash again, looking back at the Browns-Bengals game from Sunday. Baker Mayfield gets the best of Joe Burrow, now 2-0 against Joe Burrow, now 2-0 against the Bengals. They get the sweep this year. And again, at the end of the day, the Browns are 5-2. And it's funny, it's always a recency thing. What have you done for me lately? And this Browns team looks completely different. Now, again, you're going to get the typical weird Bengals fans who like to tell you how great their organization is, but yet want to use how bad they are to justify when someone gets the best of them. You're just pissed off because Baker Mayfield embarrassed you guys, and now you're going to sit here and try to water it down as best you can. Doug Morgan says, against the best pass rusher in the game and one of the best DBs. No. The Browns defense is Myles Garrett, and then you have Denzel Ward. Outside of that, all trash. They are not good. And that's not just my opinion. Look at the stats. Look at the numbers. Doug Morgan, you don't have to like it, but the Bengals' pass defense is better than the Cleveland Browns. So don't give me that. Don't try to water down what Baker did to make you feel better about your team. And don't sit there and blame the offensive line, because the thing is, how many one-possession games have the Bengals lost? Joe Burrow, you have to win those. It's not like you're getting blown out. If Joe Burrow's getting blown out every game, then you know what? Whatever. I'm not even looking at the quarterback in those games. But when you're losing almost every week by one possession, what could you have done differently? Joe Burrow threw an interception for the fourth straight game. Joe Burrow fumbled the ball.
Well, that's
had
not
two
fair,
turnovers.
they had the
interception.
lead. They had the lead, and they had the. I'm in the credit giving business. I'm in the credit business.
I ain't gonna allow you to be in the credit giving business.
I'm in the credit giving business. I give credit to the Browns and Baker Mayfield for driving the length of the field with no time on the clock, with no timeouts in less than 60 seconds. Joe Burrow did his part. He led every time that Baker led them down the field to take the lead. Joe Burrow did the same thing. Baker had the ball last, and he drove the field and capitalized. I'm giving credit to the Browns and Baker Mayfield. I don't think we can discredit either one.
I am. They didn't punt all game. So you're scoring on every drive. You turned it over. You would have scored on that drive because you scored on every other one.
Baker turned it over as well.
Okay, that's fine.
So
I would have blamed Baker had he lost that one too, and you would have blamed Baker. Everyone would have blamed Baker. Look at Baker's turnover. Lets everyone lose their mind because Baker turned it over. Joe Burrow turns it over by the way, Baker has 2 more interceptions than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, I think, and him have the same amount of turnovers because Joe Burrow keeps fumbling the ball in the air. And by the way, how many snaps did Burrow drop? I mean, if the ball's right in your hands, he keeps dropping it. There was the one that he made the really nice pass that I think got broken up by Denzel Ward. He caught it, dropped it, just picked it up and threw it real quick, and ended up being knocked out by Denzel Ward. But I mean, those little things. Let's stop acting like Joe Burrow's perfect. He's not perfect. Baker was the better quarterback on Sunday. No questions asked for me.
They played to a dead heat, but you got to give it to Baker because they won the game.
Ended in a tie. That's what they did against the Eagles.
I'm saying I think they played equally, but Baker's team won the game, and he led them to the victory. I don't think you can discredit anything that Joe Burrow did. He did everything that was in his power to have his team win the game because they had the lead.
Don't throw that interception and you score. You're winning at the end. There is no chance for Baker to tie it.
Baker also threw an interception, though.
And if the roles were reversed, I would have blamed Baker for the loss, too. If Baker doesn't make that throw at the end, I'm going to say, man, you played such a perfect third quarter, but your typical Bakerness in the first quarter is ultimately what cost you. It's a 4-quarter game, not a 3-quarter game, not a half game.
I don't know if I can go there.
I'm going there.
I can give both teams credit, and I can give the victor Browns more credit because they end up winning the game. Like I can't say he ain't come to play. He didn't come to perform because it's evident that he came to perform.
Russell Wilson came to play. He threw 3 interceptions in this game.
Yeah, he was the reason they lost.
Yeah. Don't turn the ball over, you don't lose.
Yeah, but he threw multiple interceptions on
Joe Burrow had multiple turnovers.
Multiple game-winning drives. I think, but at the end of the day, it was the Browns made more plays at the end of the game, and that's what really counts, and that's what Baker Mayfield did. I'm in the credit giving business.
Well, I need a bank. I'm the banker. Call me the banker. Kev Nash, the banker. Justin, the joke. Kinner show, really, Baker Mayfield is done. Ron Moreland, the only joke in that whole statement is not me. It's the fact that you actually thought that you were going to type that out and hit send and actually think that after what Baker just did to your team over the weekend, that's what I'm saying. You guys are insane. You guys are nuts. You guys are crazy. You guys are pissed off because Baker Mayfield embarrassed you on Sunday. And you're going to type that Baker Mayfield is done? What are you talking about? What in the blue hell are you talking about? What game? I mean, unbelievable. He literally embarrassed you guys. And then you try to use the Bengals defense to water down what Baker did when the Bengals, when the Browns defense is actually, when the Browns passing defense is worse than the Bengals, but Joe Burrow lights up a defense that's worse than what Baker went up against, and Burrow just walks on water. Baker, you guys are nuts. Jake Whiting says Baker Mayfield is not good. He's only good against the Bengals. I thought, but you're a Bengals fan. Do you guys realize that the stoops that you'll lower yourself to, that you'll just rip your own team and discredit your team? That's how much you hate Baker Mayfield. Be better. Do better. In fact, I'm putting all of you guys in a 5-minute timeout, and I expect when I come back, 457-9464, Bengals fans, go educate yourself. Go look at the numbers. Joe Burrow went up against a worse pass defense than Baker Mayfield did. You guys are embarrassing yourself. My goodness, no wonder I took yesterday off. Bengals fans, you have 5 minutes to get smarter. Call in, 457-9464. We will be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon is going to be cloudy with a high near 52. Tonight's also going to be cloudy with a low around 43. And tomorrow is going to be mostly cloudy with a high near 60. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Advantage program from Stevenson Service Experts takes the stress out of maintaining your home comfort system. Pay no money down, one low monthly rate, and nothing for maintenance and repairs. The Advantage program from Stevenson Service Experts. Learn more at 866-EXPERT or StevensonHVAC.com. See website for license details.
Roosters would like to thank all of our loyal guests and all the loyal Buckeye fans for your support this year. Because of you, we've been able to stay open and keep our award-winning team employed. Our team members go above and beyond and are dedicated to providing you and your family the safest dining experience possible while still providing a fun, casual atmosphere to relax, laugh, and enjoy our award-winning food. Roosters, the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great night out with friends. Looking for the best venue for your upcoming event or party? Check out our VIP suite at Polking Lane South. It's a unique, state-of-the-art VIP 8-lane luxury suite. It's not too soon to book your holiday party. Call today and let the good times roll. Let us book your holiday event at any of our centers. Polking Lanes in Dayton on Wilmington Avenue, Polking Woodman Lanes in Kettering on Woodman Drive, or Polking Lane South in Centerville on Kingsridge Drive. Ho, ho, ho.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
I like a bed that's really firm.
I need something a little softer than that. Rest easy. With the Sleep Number 360 smart bed, you can both adjust your comfort with your Sleep Number setting.
Can it really help me fall asleep faster?
Yes, by gently warming your feet. Okay, but can it help keep us asleep? It senses your movements and automatically adjusts to keep you effortlessly comfortable. Sleep Number, proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. And now, during our Veterans Day sale, save $1,000 on the Queen Sleep Number 360 Special Edition smart bed, now $1,799. Only for a limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
I'm attorney David Brannon, and I'm running for Montgomery County Probate Court Judge on November 3rd. If you ever get married, claim an inheritance, or care for aging parents, you may find yourself in need of the probate court. Over the past 15 years, I've worked hard to protect those in need and to get the right answers for families in probate court. I am also certified by the Ohio State Bar Association as a specialist in probate law. I understand that families need speedy and fair decisions from the probate court. I have the dedication and compassion to be there for your family, so please vote for me, David Brannon, November 3rd. I am David Brannon, and I approve this message.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation, now hiring Class A CDL drivers for new Home Daily dedicated lanes. That's right, Home Daily, earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company-paid life insurance, outstanding new equipment, and no-touch freight. Call Cody, 937-277-7271, or apply at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Hi, I'm Brooke Burke. Do you ever consider just how important your feet are? They're quite literally the foundation of your body. And if you don't take care of them, you're asking for problems. That's why I wear Skechers' new Arch Fit shoes. Skechers teamed up with podiatrists to make a shoe that provides total foot and arch support. They used 20 years of data to design a podiatrist-certified insole that distributes support across the arch no matter what foot type you have, providing extreme comfort. Get Skechers' new Arch Fit at a Skechers store near you, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your car insurance with Right Track, which rewards you for safe driving.
As the world's most careful driver, that's perfect. Now applying 2 pounds of force for acceleration.
You really
turning in 0.3 miles and begin deceleration.
With Liberty Mutual's Right Track, you could earn up to 30% savings based on how you drive. Sign up at libertymutual.com/righttrack.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Discount on participating vehicles, base coverages only. Availability varies.
With the $10 Tastemaker from Pizza Hut, I can get a large with up to 3 toppings, so I don't have to pick between them. Nope, don't need that stress in my life. Order yours online at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut. Prices and participation may vary. Extra charge for pan, stuffed crust, extra cheese, and more toppings.
This is time that matters. A window of time to help protect the ones you love. Your preteen benefits from staying up to date with their well visits. This is your window of protection. Schedule their well visit now. Brought to you by Merck.
Audible now gives you thousands of audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all in one place. The new Audible is your playlist for life. Download the Audible app to get started.
Follow ESPN 1410 Wing AM on Facebook to watch The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Listen, stream, and now watch. It's The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
NFL Week 7 officially in the books. Kevin Nash and I will give you our top 5, bottom 5 teams in the NFL coming up here top of the hour, half hour from now. Also, in hour number 2, we will hear from ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. That's coming up at 4:30, and he'll join us each and every Tuesday throughout the NFL season all the way to the end of December. So looking forward to chatting with him. We'll talk Browns. We'll talk Bengals. Of course, we'll get a little college football talk there as well. Ohio State 1-0 to start their 2020 college football season. We'll get into some OSU stuff coming up here around the corner. We could talk about all the different matchups in the Big Ten, but the one opponent that is already losing to another opponent, the Big Ten is already losing to COVID. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. So let's go to the phone. 457-9464 again. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, follow along. But we got Charlie, correct? Is this Charlie? Yeah. Charlie, what's up, man? Thanks for holding.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, roll up your window. Man. Roll up your window.
No, I'm on the highway. First of all, let's just start out nice, okay?
Because it's not going to end nice. Is that where this is going?
Well, who knows? Who knows where it's going to go? But, I got to meet you Sunday. That was cool, man.
Uh-huh.
That was really cool to meet you. And Keith, God, can you imagine trying to tackle Keith Byers?
I mean, especially if he's running at you full speed, I'm just moving out of the way.
Yeah, and I was trying to explain to my girlfriend, like, he's a running back, and he's a giant. And, like, can you imagine when a line, like, she's never seen guys like that. You know what I mean? But anyway, all right, let's get to the game. Entertainment value, that's the best game I've watched all year. It was awesome. Okay? From beginning to end, that was a fun game to watch. And the Bengals have played a lot of games like that. Browns, not so much. All right, so Baker, I thought it was really cute that he tried to keep up. I thought it was cute. That, the Bengals basically took all their starters off the defense and let him just kind of throw it around a little bit, get his confidence back up. He's a little guy. We took out DJ Reader. We took out our starting corners. We got a bunch of rookie linebackers in there. That's nice. A little confidence booster.
We thank you for that.
And you know what? And you're right. Your passing defense is worse. That's why Joe Burrow lit you up for over 400 yards.
Oh, so Joe Burrow lights up a defense that's worse than the Bengals, but Baker Mayfield was just given a charity game. That doesn't make sense. You can't have it both ways.
Well, I mean, that's just my point of view from what.
No, that's a lot of Bengals fans' point of view, and that's what's crazy is you're telling me that you're trying to describe this horrible defense of the Bengals, which is actually better than the Browns' passing defense, and you're saying you're trying to use the bad Bengals defense to water down what Baker accomplished, but then the defense that's actually worse than your bad defense you're making it sound like Burrow just carved up the Steelers or something.
Well, he might in a couple of weeks.
Oh, no. He won't. It's okay. We can just get that out of the way now.
He's not Baker Mayfield.
He is not Baker Mayfield. I agree.
Okay, here's the difference. When you watch that game, before that, when we talked last week, you were ready to move on.
Yep. When you play bad, you play bad. I'd call it out. When you play good, you play good. I call that out too. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out.
See, we're not surprised because this is how Joe Burrow always plays. He's always good. He always puts up over 300 yards. He always throws touchdowns. He always runs for touchdowns.
He does. And, and what's his record? 1-5-1. Yes, he is so good in those close one-possession games. Just what you like to see out of your court. It doesn't matter if you're going to score enough to lose by one possession. Just score one more. Stop throwing interceptions every game. 4 straight interceptions for Joe Burrow now? Oh, man. I think he's like bottom 10 in QBR? Oof.
Well,
Step your game up, Joe B. Come on now.
I thought it was nice that Baker, he's looking up to his big brother down there in Cincinnati, and he just thought maybe he'd try to keep up, with Joe. He couldn't keep up with him. Joe Burrow threw for more yards. But he did
more yards. Okay. Because last week when I said how Matt Ryan was good because he had more passing yards than anyone in the NFL, everyone told me that you can't use passing yards as a way to gauge whether a quarterback's playing well. But this week we can. I just want to make sure. Is that the rules we're playing by this week? That's adorable, man. You guys moved the goalpost better than anybody.
I tell you what, you can't use is the only team that Baker Mayfield can seem to beat is a team that's being rebuilt.
Well, that would make sense. But the Browns are 5-2, and the last I checked, they haven't played the Bengals 5 times this year. So that doesn't make sense.
It's just, we took out almost every starter on our team except for Joe Burrow, and you barely beat us. I mean, I would be very concerned. And you know what's so ironic about the Browns?
What's so ironic about the Browns?
The thing that's going to kill them when they're one and done in the playoffs is when they traded Jabril Peppers for Odell, whatever. And now all of a sudden Baker Mayfield's not peeing his pants because the big scary wide receiver is not out there to intimidate him anymore, and he can actually throw it around a little bit. So, when you guys are one and done in the playoffs this year because you can't cover anybody, I mean,
cute. 1-5-1 and whatever you are, you're making fun of the Browns losing in the playoffs. Charlie, great hearing from you, man. We'll talk to you later. We'll talk to you later. 457-9464. Look, I say all of that in a joking way, but at the end of the day, if that is what we can expect, Kev, of the Browns and the Bengals moving forward, if that's Baker versus Burrow, if Baker's back and he's here to play, all right, if we get to see Baker versus Burrow 2 times a year, And imagine that one time they meet up in the playoffs, if Burrow might, leave the Bengals and go to a good team and maybe get to the play. That's, in all seriousness, how fun was that, though? If we get that every time, like it was a good game the first time. It was a little bit of an uglier game. Chubb ran all over them, but Kareem Hunt obviously didn't have as much success against that run defense for the Bengals. If that's what we get as Browns and Bengals fans, we all hate one another. That's fine. But if that's what we get to look forward to 2 times a year, I'm just bummed that that's it. There is no Browns-Bengals part 3. Like, that's it. We got to wait until next year. We got to wait until 2021 before we get Browns and Bengals again. So I joke around a lot, is what it is. But at the same time, man, that was fun. That at the end, I forgot. I think it was Charlie. Yeah, Charlie said that at the beginning of the call. That was just fun, and it was fun, and I can't wait to see it again, especially with that result, man.
Like you said, highly entertaining. Me being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I was watching the Bengals and Browns game on another TV because I was watching my team play, but highly entertaining. And that's all you really can ask for in the NFL when you're not having any rooting interest, is just to simply be entertained.
So 457-9464. We'll go to the phone lines again, and we'll get your takes on this as well. Let's go back to the Facebook feed. David Kendrick says, one and done in the playoffs. That's the Bengals' forte. Exactly. Bengals fans, if you want to make fun of Baker, that's fine. He's a walking turnover machine. Now, he's no longer at the Jameis Winston ESPN 30 for 30 level. But to sit there and say, oh, you're making fun of the Browns for how they're going to be one and done in the play. You're making fun of a team that's going to get to the playoffs. That's weird. That's weird. Do better. Let's go to James. James, you're on. How are you, sir?
What in the hell did I just listen to?
I think that's the literally the quote of every listener of this show at all times. But I have no clue what you just listened to.
I mean, I'm at a little bit lost for words after that caller. I mean, it must really suck to be 1-5-1.
I mean, it must really suck, apparently, to be 5-2 and potentially heading to the play. I mean, apparently we're supposed to feel worse about the Browns than the Bengals are about their team. I don't get it.
They are so backwards. Like, do you remember when the Bengals were going to the playoffs and everyone knew they were one and done? And they used to say, well, at least we made the playoffs. You guys are getting the bottom pick. I just don't understand them. Like you said, both the quarterbacks played great. But you can't take away from what Baker did because it was a bad defense, because the Browns defense is terrible outside of Myles Garrett and Ward. I don't get their thought process. I honestly think that they're just still really, really mad that Baker planted a flag at Buckeye Stadium.
Yeah, well, I think they're just mad too that they get their quarterback and it hasn't resulted in the same amount of wins that when the Browns got Baker and the Browns turned around quickly. The Bengals are 1-5-1 with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow looks great, by the way. I'm not even going to sit here and say he doesn't. However, to your point about the defense, I don't know if you were tuning in at this point, but everyone's trying to discredit what Baker did against the bad Bengals defense. The Browns' pass defense is worse than theirs, and Burrow beating up on that apparently means he's great, and Baker beating up on their bad defense means he's horrible. It doesn't make any sense. The logic is flawed. They're moving the goalpost, man, every time.
Now, don't get me wrong. I need to see more than the one game. I'm really anxious to see how he does this week against the Raiders. But there's no taking away from what he did. But, being a Browns fan, these numbers and the way he plays without Odell Beckham Jr. is just weird. Like, it's weird that a player seems so focused in on a big-time receiver that it makes him bad. And then you take that receiver off the team, and he's hitting guys like rookie Harrison Bryant. Hollywood Higgins is getting 112 receiving yards. Rookie Donovan Peoples-Jones is catching game winners. It's weird. I just don't get it. I don't understand it.
And that's my thing, too, about the OBJ thing. And I think that this is, if that's the last game that we've seen of OBJ with the Cleveland Browns, they could potentially move on. And by the way, I say that looking at it like this. If Baker plays like that moving forward, okay, it doesn't mean that they're going to dominate every opponent. It doesn't mean they're going to go, they're going to run the table the rest of the way. But if he plays like that moving forward, there are enough stats to back up that him and OBJ don't mesh and that you're going to have to trade OBJ. But if moving forward, because the Browns don't play a team that's even close to being as bad as the Bengals apparently, and that includes the Jets and Giants at the end of the year, then apparently it's not OBJ and it's Baker, and they could bring OBJ back and they could be making a quarterback change. So this is still, I mean, Baker accomplished nothing this past weekend other than improving to 5-2 and maybe getting some confidence brought back at him, but he still has a lot of work to do. He's not back by any means. He had a great game, the first great game he's had since his rookie year, but he has to build on that. He can't go back and revert back to his old self next week against the Raiders. He just can't.
Hey, Justin, last thing I have on this, the weirdest thing about it is I haven't seen that accuracy from Baker Mayfield since his rookie season. The touchdown pass to Njoku was beautiful. The high ball that Higgins went up and got was the only place Higgins could catch it. And then the last pass to Peoples-Jones where it was money. I mean, it reminded me of the pass he had against Carolina his rookie year all the way down the field where it just dropped in the basket of Jarvis. I don't know. This is just super weird to me how he's playing without Odell Beckham. I don't know. Like you said, this is probably a blessing in disguise, but I'm not going to get hyped up like that. I need to see more. I need to see this week.
Absolutely. If he goes back and he is one of those games where only throws for 180 and, one touchdown and an interception, then you know what? I mean, he's right back to where he was, and this really wasn't about OBJ. But I think that what we saw on Sunday, people are going to water it down and say it was just the Bengals. Yes, it was just the Bengals, to be clear. But at the same time, that's what we saw of his rookie year that ultimately got the Browns to buy in. The only reason the Browns bought in the way they did with going to get OBJ and getting Hooper this past offseason and buying in the way that is because of the way Baker looked his rookie year, which was like that. They looked at a guy that was like, man, he's making plays all over the place. He can make plays all up and down the field. Imagine what he could do with OBJ. And to your point, James, that's why it's weird, because how can he makes plays down the field? He's able to do that with Higgins, but he can't do it with OBJ. And OBJ on paper is paid more and way better than Higgins, apparently. It's a strange thing, but you know what? If it's strange and it leads to wins, at the end of the day, it is the Cleveland Browns, and wins are all that matters at this point.
I'll take rookie Baker over Odell Beckham Jr. all day, every day. Hey, have a good one, guys.
You too, man. Take care. What do you think about that?
I want to rewind a little bit. So after watching the game, I talked to one of my buddies who's a big Browns fan. He told me, like, man, hate to say it, you might be right about OBJ and Baker. And I'm like, it's one of two things. It's either he doesn't play well with Baker because he's forcing the ball to Baker, or he's Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. It's not both. It's one or the other. It's one, he forces the ball to OBJ, or B, he's Ryan Fitzpatrick who can throw up a freaking masterful game one week and then throw up a train wreck the next week. He's either or. He's one of them, and we're going to find out because we got, a half a season to go? So if he balls out this season, the rest of the season without OBJ, then we have evidence that, hey, he can't. He's just a better player without OBJ for whatever reason. And to be perfectly honest, we blamed OBJ, quote unquote, but that's not an OBJ problem. That's a Baker problem.
Yeah, that's what's weird. Yeah, it's weird to have a flaw that ends up working.
Right. And if he continues to be up and down like he's been all season, then he's Ryan Fitzpatrick. He'll be in the NFL for a long time. He'll win you some games. He'll lose you some games. We're going to find out in these next 8 weeks.
Absolutely. But you know what will happen if he does have success, Kev? Then it's going to be the Browns do have the easiest strength of schedule remaining than any other team in the NFL down the stretch. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine, because good teams have to beat those bad teams. Remember, real quick, last year, Cleveland had last year Cleveland had the easiest strength of schedule the last 8 games of the year, and they crumbled. So they're going to have the best strength of schedule moving forward, or the easiest strength of schedule moving forward. And if they win those, that's called growth from one year to the next. And for everyone on here that's saying, the Browns, I'm not buying into them, they're still garbage. They're 5-2.
Right.
And if they beat the Raiders, which they're favored to do, you're 6-2 going into a bye week. Like, I don't care what anybody says. If you find ways to hate on that, if you find ways to hate on that, I don't know what to tell you. Other than you're just hating, which is fine because I hate too. Like, I'm not going to judge you for hating, but I'll admit when I'm hating. Like, every time Joe Burrow looks really good, I'm like, But quote that, by the way. Did you write that letter for letter? But at the end of the time stamped. It is what it is.
For me, it's just as simple as this. If people to say he's only balling out because of these bad teams he's playing, and they have the worst strength of record throughout the rest of the season. That may be true, but it's also true that they play the Ravens one more time. They play the Tennessee Titans, and they also play the Steelers. So he has 3 super opportunities. You know what I'm saying? I look at things as opportunities. So he has 3 opportunities to prove himself to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So if he balls out versus the Ravens, then what you gonna say? If he balls out against Tennessee, what you gonna say? If he balls out versus Pittsburgh, then what you gonna say? You know, I pride myself in being an objective viewer of football, even though I have my team and who I'm rooting for and who I'm not. But if he balls out in those 3 games or 2 of those 3 games, you got to give the man credit. Like I said, I'm in the credit giving business. You got to give Baker Mayfield credit for what he did on Sunday, no matter what the defense was, no matter how bad the Bengals defense is. Because if he didn't, he'd be saying, look what he did. He didn't ball out. Yep. And the same thing goes for Joe Burrow. You got to give him credit for putting up 400 some yards. And, you know, they basically went tit for tat. You know what I'm saying? In all actuality, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you don't have any rooting interest, like I didn't have any rooting interest, that was the game to watch. You know, it was tons of great games on NFL last week. You had the Tennessee-Pittsburgh game. You obviously had the Browns-Bengals. You had the Sunday night game with the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Tons of great football was on over the weekend.
We're going to get to that too. We're going to get to that too. We're going to get to that too.
Oh, yeah.
Russell Wilson, Mr. MVP, doing his best Baker Mayfield impersonation.
Oh, my gosh.
You just lost the MVP that night, bud. Nice job.
So we week to week with it?
He made it week to week. 3. It's not just an interception. You threw 3. Not 1, not 2, not 3. No, it was 3. It don't matter. 3 interceptions are 3 interceptions. You can't
I'm just asking. I don't know how many touchdowns he threw.
Matt Sturgeon says, next topic, how about the 21 recruiting class? Matt, you tried pulling that 2 minutes into the show. And seeing as it's a 3-hour show, there's still plenty of time. So, Matt, buckle up. You got plenty of time. We'll get there. Ron Moreland says, I hate Justin Kinner like tacos without sauce. Well, what kind of tacos? Hold on. We got chicken tacos. I'm a chicken taco guy. You got to get the corn tortilla with shredded chicken, lettuce, tomato. You got to get homemade salsa. None of this like, you know, what's the store-bought kind? No, that's garbage. You got to make your own salsa. Now, again, the fried tortillas are what's up. You got the fried corn tortillas. That's where, I mean, those are real tacos. None of this go to Walmart and buy your crunchy tacos all wrapped in you know, saran wrap. No. Flour. David Shaw says flour. You can't know flour. No, those aren't tacos. They're good. I can eat some soft tacos, but good corn tortillas, fried, some shredded chicken, some salsa, lettuce, tomato. What about you?
So Kenner would never be caught dead at a Taco Bell.
No, I love Taco Bell.
Really?
There's nothing better than that when you're drunk. No, I'm not joking. Like, you know, there is serious to God nothing.
I would say Cousin Vinny's pizza is better. When I was
in college, yeah.
When you
there's something about 2 a.m, anything that's put in front of you
with grease,
drunk, with grease, yes. All right, guys, 457-9464. Who else we got here? But yeah, Ron Moreland. So that was just mean. Just because your Bengals suck, I hate Justin Kinner like tacos without sauce. I'm not even mad that you hate me. I'm mad that you just hate tacos. Even tacos without sauce, you can't hate tacos without sauce. Tacos are still tacos. You can hate me all you want. I mean, you can come here. You can compare me to a lot of bad things. It's fine.
It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh, we got to do the LeBron Taco Tuesday. Yep. So there you go. All right, folks. We will be back in just a moment. 457-9464. See, we'll get to some of the nice love here. Trent says, loving the show. Justin, see, I need some nice things to be said. I like that. You know, when people say nice things. Hold on, I got to find more. There's a lot of bad. I got to find the nice ones. Hold on. Scrolling. I got to find Greg Carell. Shout out to Greg Carell. He says first time listening in, enjoying the hell out of it. I know Greg's an awesome dude. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Kathy says, Kathy Carell says, Justin knows his tacos. I do know my tacos.
Does Justin know his football?
I'm probably more of a taco aficionado more than I am football. Hold on. Someone called me a clown, putting the Bengals record on Joe Burrow. Kinner, you're a clown, putting the Bengals record on Joe Burrow. Boo-hoo. More credit was given to Burrow than Baker. Burrow was playing with 3 backup linemen. Johnny Ritchie, I'm just going to stop you there. All right, I'm going to stop you there. 1-5-1. You were bad last year. You're bad this year. You're going to be bad next year. When Baker got to Cleveland, they went from 0-16 to instant winners. And you know what are the Bengals doing? Oh, they had that tie. That tie was cute. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Trick por three.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
Mike Foley is proud to serve as our Montgomery County Clerk of Courts, and he's asking for our vote again this November. Mike is a father, a U.S. veteran, and has been a small business owner for over 20 years. He's not a career politician, but a leader that gets things done. Mike Foley has saved taxpayers over $3 million in less than 2 years in office by running the clerk's office more efficiently. He truly brings the courthouse to the community. For all the right reasons, let's re-elect Mike Foley, Montgomery County Clerk of Courts.
This is Mike Foley, and I approve this message.
College football, it's the game you wake up early on Saturdays for, even though kickoff isn't until 7. The game where the Goodyear blimp becomes a Hall of Famer. The game that goes just beyond school, spirit, fandom, or love of the sport. It's the game where the comebacks happen. It's the game where anything can and will happen, as long as you have the drive. Because college football is the game that moves you. We get it because it moves us too. Goodyear, more driven.
Make it a Redbox night with an edge-of-your-seat action thriller that can't be missed. Rent Ava, starring Jessica Chastain. Ava is a notorious assassin who travels the globe specializing in high-profile hits. However, when a job goes dangerously wrong, she is forced to fight for her own survival. Rent Ava, along with other new movies, tonight. Head to one of the 40,000 Redbox locations. Stream on your smart TV or visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
While serving in Iraq, an IED took both my legs, but it didn't take my spirit.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Greg Gatson, Army veteran.
DAV helps veterans and their families get the benefits they've earned.
Today, I'm an entrepreneur, photographer, and public speaker.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is just being the best that I can be.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities, or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Ask for it at Advanced Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is waiting for a table at a restaurant.
Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, oh, there you are.
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
College football, it's the game you wake up early on Saturdays for, even though kickoff isn't until 7. The game where the Goodyear blimp becomes a Hall of Famer. The game that goes just beyond school, spirit, fandom, or love of the sport. It's the game where the comebacks happen. It's the game where anything can and will happen, as long as you have the drive. Because college football is the game that moves you. We get it because it moves us too. Goodyear, more driven.
Remember being in your favorite sport clips, getting set for that great MVP haircut experience? Yeah, how about if we made that wait even shorter? Now, with Sport Clips On Deck text alerts, when you check in online or with our app, we'll text you a 15-minute heads up when it's time to head in. And when you're the next man up, you'll get another text to come take your seat. Less wait time, more prime time. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
T-Mobile for Business knows saving time and money is important for your business. That's why we're introducing Microsoft 365 on us, now included in our best business plans. With Office apps, Microsoft Teams, cloud storage, and more, Microsoft 365 on us gives you the tools you need to run your business. Stop by a T-Mobile store today. Qualifying plan required. Contactless to activate. 1 license per line, max 2 per account. Third-party terms apply. See T-Mobile.com for plan details.
In 2007, Marine First Lieutenant Travis Manion was killed in Iraq after saving his wounded teammates. Travis's legacy lives on through the words he spoke before his final deployment. If not me, then who? Words that today fuel the spirit of Travis Manion Foundation. And through TMF, these words can live in you too. Show the world what you're made of, because character is invisible until it's not. Find out how you can strengthen the character of your community alongside empowered veterans, families of the fallen, and inspired civilians at travismanion.org.
The all-new Audible now gives you thousands of select audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all included with membership. Try it for free for 30 days. Visit audible.com.
Hey, who wants free money? Who are we kidding? We all do. It's the ESPN Dayton hashtag We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Listen for the word that wins 18 times a day, starting at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Enter the keyword at wingam.com for your chance to win $1,000. It's the ESPN Dayton hashtag We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM. I got to get this fan put away. It's my biggest fan. See? Get it? Fan?
Oh, boy.
I'm funny, damn it. Real quick, back to this. Johnny Ritchie says, I noticed you didn't say anything about the pressures. So Johnny, who called me a clown a little bit ago, let me go back to your post. He's making all excuses about Burrow playing with 3 backup linemen with an already suspect O-line under way more duress than Baker. Baker had a great game. Can't take it away from him, but pass defense is 80% D-line. You're just making up. I mean, it's 80% D-line. Have you heard that rule before, that pass defense is 80% D-line?
I'll say this. Injuries are part of the game, like I always say. It is what it is.
I'll agree with you, and it benefits me, so I'm with you.
Yeah, because nobody's crying for Argentina when Derrick Henry started rolling in the third and fourth quarter with Tennessee, and we were missing, our number one middle linebacker in Devin Bush. It is what it is. Backups got to play. It is what it is. Nobody's crying for the Dallas Cowboys after, Dak got hurt and then Andy Dalton damn near died on the football field, and they put in some guy nobody's ever heard of outside of his own family. Nobody's crying for them. It is what it is, man. Injuries are a part of the game. I've been saying that. I say that when it's my team, your team, Johnny's team, Joe's team. It is what it is, man. Injuries are part of the game, and when you have backups in the game, it's still the responsibility of everybody on the field to perform and go execute and win the game. It is what it is.
David Shaw says, I'm not hating, but the Browns haven't beat anyone this year. That's just facts. Let's talk about facts, shall we? There comes a point when you're better than everyone you play on your schedule outside of a select few, and we're talking the Ravens, Steelers, and Titans, right, Kev?
Yeah.
Okay. There comes a point where you got to use common sense. You're trying to knock the Browns and say you haven't played anyone yet. Kev, go look at the standings. The Browns are better than 22 NFL teams right now. 22. So when you say that, they haven't played anybody yet. Well, those same 22 teams that the Browns are ahead of in the standings have also played a lot of the same teams the Browns have, and they've lost a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to spin it to fit your narrative that the Browns are this bad team is a joke. I'm not saying that the Browns are better than the Buccaneers or the Chiefs. I'm definitely not going to say they're better than the Steelers. I think we all saw what happened the last time those two teams played one another, okay? And the Ravens. I'm not willing to go there. But to sit there and act like this Browns team is nothing impressive, I mean, you guys are trying too hard, and that's why I call you a hater. Nick Wright said it this morning best. There's only 2 teams that have more wins in the NFL right now than the Cleveland Browns. There's only 2 teams. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs. There are only 2 teams that have more wins in the NFL right now than the Cleveland Browns. So, yes, you are a hater, straight up. I'm not saying the Browns are winning a Super Bowl. I'm not even saying that the Browns are going to win their first-round playoff game, because they're most likely going to run into a Pittsburgh. They're most likely going to run into a Ravens team. And we've all seen what this Browns team looks like when they go up against that type of pressure. Now, there's a lot of time left. For everyone out there that says, Joe Burrow, his rookie season's not done. The Bengals could win games moving forward. Maybe they put it together. They've lost a lot of one-possession games. Maybe they're growing. That's fine. Maybe the Browns get a big win over Tennessee here in a few weeks. Maybe the Browns, take one of the final 2 against the Steelers and the Ravens coming up. Then what? Then are we going to say, what's your next excuse going to be that the Browns haven't beaten anyone? And there's a good chance that they don't beat those teams, Kevin, as we've talked about. That still puts them at 12 wins on the year. So all I'm trying to say is there comes a point, Kev, where you get too far into the season to start using the excuse of, well, they haven't beaten anybody yet. Because at a certain point this deep into the season, they haven't beaten anybody. But they're one of the somebodies. Like, they're one of the real teams in the NFL. Like, they've played a lot of bad teams, but they're proving that they're better than all the bad teams that they're playing. Their season's not more impressive than the Steelers or Ravens right now. Right. I'm not saying that, but there comes a certain point where I got it 2 or 3 weeks in. You got beat by the Ravens, then you beat the Bengals, and you're beating some bad teams. I got it. That's why I was pumping the brake. But right now you're 5-2, and you're most likely, if you beat the Raiders, which you're favored to, you're 6-2. I don't want to hear, they haven't beaten anybody. That's fine. There are 22 teams that have not even come close to doing what the Browns are doing right now. All the teams that are on top of them, the Chiefs, the Steelers, the Packers, the Titans, those teams.
Right.
So there you go.
You hate me when I talk like this, but I'm going to talk like this. It is what it is. You cannot make up your schedule. Your schedule's already is what it is. I use this argument in college football as well. You don't make up who you play. Those schedules are made years in advance. And in the NFL, your schedule's basically predetermined already based off of your record from last year. You already know that the Browns are going to play the AFC North. And then, depending on the rotation, what conference they're going to get from the NFC. And then they pick and choose throughout the rest of the NFL on their rest of their schedule and everything off that based off their record from last year. You knew this going into the season that the other teams that they will be playing will have a lesser record because the Browns didn't make the playoffs last year. Yep. So they automatically, quote unquote, get a weaker schedule. But so what? This is the NFL. There's only 52, 55 guys on the roster. These are the best of the best. It is what it is. You don't make up excuses for winning games, because if you lose the game, then you got something to talk about. Winning these games, this kids keep winning, and you have another opportunity to win another game the following week versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Still very weird saying that, but I made it through. So like the Chargers, I still say San Diego Chargers.
Oh
gosh. So for me, I just look at it at you're building equity, you're getting wins. Maybe let's just go out on a limb and say these teams that they're beating are trash and they should beat them. Well, they're doing what they're supposed to do. And at the end of 16, 17 weeks of regular season football, that's going to position you to be in the playoffs. And then, as we all know, in the playoffs, anything can happen. Nobody expected Tennessee to beat the Ravens last year, but they did. Nobody expected Tennessee to go to the AFC Championship game, but they did. So it is what it is. So when you win games and you put yourself in a position to advance in the playoffs, you don't have to say, oh, man, my bad, we didn't play Pittsburgh for the third time and then play the Ravens for the third time and then Kansas City for the trip to go to the Super Bowl. Nobody's going to say that. Who's going to say that? It is what it is, man. You play who's on the schedule. You beat who's on the schedule. If people want to say, because guess what? The Bengals are playing the exact same schedule that the Browns are.
Yep.
So I just don't see it that way, man. And they're playing the exact same schedule that Pittsburgh's playing. All the teams that Pittsburgh beat up early in the season, the Bengals get them later in the season. You know what I'm saying? So, and then also later in the season, these teams, like, you want to talk about teams tanking? The New York franchises, they're tanking. But you know what? You still got to play Baltimore and you still got to play Pittsburgh. So it all balances out at the end of the day. At some point, you got to play a big dog.
And the Browns have failed that massively. Like, no questions asked. And the reason I believe I could be fair here is because last week when Baker was bad.
Oh, yeah, you sold him.
Yeah. And people go like, I remember one guy tweeting me that, that I turned my back on Baker last week. And I was like, but that's the thing. Like, here's the deal. Like, when Baker plays bad, I call him out. When Baker plays well, I'm right there cheering him on, right? That's how you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to try to find only the numbers that convince you that your quarterback is playing really well. For instance, right here, by the way, William Yelly on Facebook says the difference between the Titans and the Browns is their defense. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. But Chris Schultz says that Burrow can't help that the Bengals defense sucks. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because the Browns have better defensive weapons. Myles Garrett, and, of course, Denzel Ward. But it stops after that, unless you're Tate Martell. But I'm looking at these total defense numbers right now. The Browns are ranked 25th in total defense. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals, Kev, they're ranked 27th in total defense. So stop making excuses for Joe Burrow. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, that offensive line's bad. That's the other thing, too, that's really bad. And then that's the other thing. They're trying to knock Baker on Sunday. Well, Baker, he had plenty of time to throw. Oh, yeah, well, screw him.
Right.
You're mad at the wrong people.
Right.
You should be mad at your front office.
Right.
Just saying.
And I know, like, you're bringing up stats. I just look at the game, and they don't have any playmakers at any level on the defense for the Bengals. That's no one's fault but the organization. We love Von Bell because he's a Buckeye, but there's a reason why the Saints didn't pick up his option.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, but there's two playmakers on the Browns defense, Denzel and Myles Garrett. And people recognize that. And I mean, hell, I'm a proponent that says Myles Garrett should be in the MVP race because he's basically single-handedly. If he gets a sack on a drive, that drive normally ends in a punt. So he's a game wrecker. I will put him probably, third or fourth best defensive player in the NFL right now. So there's playmakers on the Browns defense. So
that's the difference. That's
the big difference. So the stats can tell me whatever. I know what I see with my eyes. I know that AJ Green, the snap that Burrow dropped and picked up and threw like a pitcher that was a touchdown, but Denzel
Ward
fought through all the way down to the ground. Those are plays that are not being made by any DB on the Cincinnati Bengals. We look back to the last touchdown. Baker throws the pass to Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan. The ball literally goes through the DB's hands. I said it earlier, and we look at it as Baker, it went through dude's hands. What are you doing? We look at it from Aaron Rodgers, it's a dime. Either way, it went through his hands. The Browns DB, Denzel Ward, makes that play. The Bengals DB doesn't make that play. It's plain and simple. The Browns have two playmakers on defense, and that's carrying them on defense.
Yeah,
to be perfectly honest.
And you're right, because that's saving them. Because on top of that, outside of that, their defense is the same as the Bengals, and it's bad. And, of course, we're nitpicking. I found stats that debunk what these guys are saying, and now they're still arguing because he goes, well, the Browns' defense is 25th after Burrow put 400 yards passing on them. And he goes on to say, well, what was their ranking before they played the Bengals? Well, last Friday when we did our 3 and out on why we believe the Browns will win and lose, the Browns have the 23rd ranked defense in the National Football League. They moved back 2 spots, so they're not good. This is the thing, too. This is why coaching is bad. And again, Burrow's a rookie, so I'm not going to put these expectations on him. But if you want to sit him at the adult table in this conversation with the Browns, I'm going to hold no adult expectations. The Cleveland Browns are 11th, and the Bengals are 13th in total offense on the year. So the Browns with the 11th, are 11th in total offense on the year, and they're 5-2. The Bengals are 13th, and you're 1-5-1. Okay, how about total defense, Kev? The Browns are 25th. The Bengals are 27th. You're not separated by that much. The Browns are 5-2. The Bengals are 1-5-1. Right. Stop doing this woe is me thing with the Bengals of, well, we don't have an offensive line. We have a good enough offensive line for Joe Burrow to be one of the top 5 passers in the National Football League, but they're only bad whenever you want to make excuses for when you're 1-5-1. Well, our defense isn't good. Well, your defense is good enough to have you in games to be able to win games towards the end, but when you lose, it's because we have a bad Bengals fans. The Browns are not that much better than you from a statistical standpoint. It's all about coaching, and it's all about, making plays when you need to. That's all I'm going to say. I know you don't want to hear it. This is the last. We're done with this. But the Browns are 11th in total offense. The Bengals are 13th. Sure, the Browns are better, but the Browns being 2 spots higher on those total offensive rankings, how can one team be 5-2 and the other one 5-1? The Browns 25th in total defense. That's horrible. That is garbage. The Bengals are worse at 27th, but they're 5-1. The Browns are 5-2. Stop with the excuses. You're just bad.
Does it say how many turnovers the Browns caused?
The Browns, and again, that's the difference. They were, up until 2 weeks ago, before the Steelers game, they were number 1 in the NFL in takeaways. I haven't updated that yet, but that's where the playmakers of Myles Garrett, Myles Garrett with the strip sack, Myles Garrett with the strips, and Denzel Ward with the interceptions. So, guys, stop crying. Your team just sucks. Your coach is garbage. Get a better coach, get a better run organization, because the Browns are a joke of an organization, but yet they somehow found a way to put a 5-2 team out on the field. And you guys are crying about 5-1. We'll be back. Top 5, bottom 5 NFL teams when we come back.
Oh, look, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We've been expecting you. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
Last year, nearly 4,000 children in Ohio were diagnosed with lead poisoning. Lead poisoning can cause learning and behavioral problems. Very small amounts of lead dust can poison a child. Children who live in or frequently visit homes built before 1978 with chipping paint or recent renovations are the most at risk. The good news is you can find lead-safe rental housing for you and your children at ohiohousinglocator.org. This message brought to you by the Ohio Department of Health.
Make it a Redbox night with an edge-of-your-seat action thriller that can't be missed. Rent Ava, starring Jessica Chastain. Ava is a notorious assassin who travels the globe specializing in high-profile hits. However, when a job goes dangerously wrong, she is forced to fight for her own survival. Rent Ava, along with other new movies, tonight. Head to one of the 40,000 Redbox locations. Stream on your smart TV or visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
Hi, I'm Brooke Burke. Do you ever consider just how important your feet are? They're quite literally the foundation of your body. And if you don't take care of them, you're asking for problems. That's why I wear Skechers' new Arch Fit shoes. Skechers teamed up with podiatrists to make a shoe that provides total foot and arch support. They used 20 years of data to design a podiatrist-certified insole that distributes support across the arch no matter what foot type you have, providing extreme comfort. Get Skechers' new Arch Fit at a Skechers store near you, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Audible now gives you thousands of audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all in one place. The new Audible is your playlist for life. Download the Audible app to get started.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are out. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. For facts, though. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio. It's the ESPN Dayton hashtag We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Be listening every hour for the word that wins and enter it at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Hour 2, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz coming up here around the corner. 4:30, we'll chat with him. We'll talk about some of the biggest takeaways from Week 7 of the NFL. And, of course, we'll talk about Ohio State and the Big Ten. The Big Ten right now getting beat by its biggest opponent that has been smacking them around since, for all year, basically. COVID up big on the Big Ten right now and how it could impact Ohio State. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a second. Real quick, I do want to go to this one. William says the Browns don't have Mike Brown running their franchise. That's why. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. The Browns are a joke of an organization, but that joke of an organization found a way to put a football or a playoff caliber team on the field. I have no confidence that even with getting Joe Burrow, and by the way, I'm not going to give Mike Brown credit for getting Joe Burrow. When you are a owner of a team that went 2-16, I'm not going to say good job on getting Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
You got Joe Burrow because you sucked, and what you do with Joe Burrow moving forward is what you're going to be judged on.
Right.
The Browns have done a fantastic job with Baker. Baker has not lived up to a lot of the hype, but I give the owners credit and whoever the GMs have been throughout this stretch. I mean, you have OBJ. I mean, you have all this talent. That's because, hey, this team said, man, we have talent. Let's make sure we protect our quarterback. Let's make sure we give him an offensive line. Let's make sure we give him a run game. Let's make sure he has depth at tight end. Let's make sure he has receivers. The Bengals have receivers, but that's not because that was waiting for him when he got there, right. That offensive line. So that's why I don't have confidence. It's not that I don't have confidence in Joe Burrow, but I don't have confidence in Joe Burrow with what that team's going to provide for him moving forward. For 5 years, everyone's like, well, he doesn't have an offensive line. We've been saying that for 5 years. What do you want? I mean, what's going to change? Michael Jordan going to go Air Jordan? I mean, what?
Something that I've noticed, man, I'm born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. The Browns fan base, and matter of fact, the Cleveland sports fan base is very tough on their teams, extremely tough on their teams. They're tough on the Tribe. They're tough on the Browns. They're tough on the Cavaliers. Like, they expect them to produce winners and expect them to put a product on the court or on the field that people can be proud of and, go to the games and spend their hard-earned money on. Granted, we are in Dayton. We're not technically in Cincinnati, but we're close enough. Observation I've made since I've been on the show with you is the Bengals fans are just like cool with it. They're like cool with where they are. Like, and I'm probably about to get some of the love that you've been getting today, but y'all not tough enough on ownership. Y'all not voting with the thing that you have the most power in, your dollar and your viewing power. You want a better product on the field. You have the power to turn the channel. You have the power not to buy jerseys. You have the power not to go to the games. You have the power. You know what? I don't like y'all no more. I still root for y'all, but I'm going to find a new team to root for because my happiness can't be tied up into a franchise that continually is losing and not putting a good product out on the field. Like, people have that power and people have that right. People are going to call you a fair weather fan, whatever. But guess what? You have that right because what the Bengals put out on the field isn't good enough. And you as a fan deserve better. And there's nothing wrong with telling ownership, the GM, whomever, Mike Brown, whomever, that, hey, man, we deserve better. At least try. I mean, shoot, when Carson Palmer left the team, he basically said he would rather retire than to play for you.
Sorry.
Like, no, I'm not trying to roast and I'm not trying to joke, but that's a fact. You look at the caliber of team that was there. You had a real good team. And, we could talk about, Marvin not getting him over the hump and everything like that. You had a franchise that you could be proud of, but was it really the franchise or was it just, the coaching and the talent that was on the team? You look at a Chad Johnson, you look at a TJ Houshmandzadeh, you look at a Carson Palmer, you look at Corey Dillon, guys that were on the team for a very long time and took you guys to the playoffs, but they never got over the hump. Why? Of course, it's easy to blame Marvin Lewis. It's easy to blame, Carson Palmer getting hurt. But take a look at the ownership. Yep. Because there was another dip, and then you dip back up when you had AJ and Dalton leading the way, but never got over the hump. At some point, you might want to look at the person that's in charge of the whole organization. You can't continuously look at, oh, man, it's Marvin's fault. It's Marvin's fault. It's Marvin's fault. All right, Marvin's out of here. You got a new coach. Oh, we're even worse than we were before. Maybe you should start holding ownership and management accountable. And I mean, you vote with your pocketbook, you vote with your wallet, you vote by, hey man, yeah, I'm gonna root for you. Yeah, I'm gonna watch the game, but man, I'm not buying a $80 jersey because all that's doing is going to the bottom line. Until y'all give me a product I can be proud of, I'm gonna hold my money in my pocket.
I agree with you. And I've always used the comparison of if I go to a restaurant and the service is bad and the food sucks and I get food poisoning.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going back?
No. It's a real quick story. The wife, she hates when that type of stuff happens for obvious reasons. But she knows if I had a bad experience at any place, if I have a bad experience at a restaurant, I had a bad experience at a clothing store, I'm never going back there, ever. And we were out back when the world was still open. We went to a particular clothing store in town and we were in there for 5-10 minutes. I was looking for a suit and nobody said a word to me. And we left. And it was like, oh, I guess we're never going back there. No, we're not ever again. Not the chain, but that particular store. I will never do it again. And that's how you create change. And that's how you vote with your money. Like, money is power. Don't give them your money. Hey, when the Bengals and the NFL allow fans to come back, don't go to the game. Don't pay $15 to park. Don't pay $15 for a beer. Watch the game at home. Vote with your pocketbook until they give you a product to be proud of. But you can't be proud of this product. You can be proud of the guys out there giving their all. You can be proud of A.J. Green looking like the old A.J. Green for the last 2 weeks. You can be proud that, man, look, Joe Burrow looks like he can be a somebody. But you know what? 2 players aren't going to take you over the top to be a team that's going to be in the playoffs on a consistent basis. You need a full-fledged team. And me as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I hate to say it, but the Browns look like they're going to be setting themselves up to make continuous playoff runs. I don't want to see that, but hey, that is what it is.
And Bengals fans, they'll go back to that clothing store you talked about. Say, well, maybe today's the day they'll sell me a suit. Maybe today's the day they'll sell me a suit. That's Bengals fans. If you go to a restaurant with bad service and crappy food in a bad location and all that, and you keep going back, you're going to keep that bad restaurant open. But you know how you get that bad restaurant to turn things around? The owner's going to be like, man, our food really does suck. And man, our customer service is garbage. But these idiots keep coming back and filling up our restaurant. Right. You think they're going to change?
Right.
You think that, that chicken that said it needed to be thrown out yesterday. Well, every time I serve it, these idiots keep eating it. So, hey, keep serving it. But you know what? If you don't like it, you get sick, you don't go back, you don't want to go back as the customer. Then the owner's going to be like, man, what's going on? Man, we really need to improve our customer service. Our food needs to be better. That's just common sense business practices. And Mike Brown lacks that. But Bengals fans, you are the dumb ones that keep going back. You keep going back for more. You found a bug in your food and you just flicked the bug over here and kept serving them mashed potatoes, man. I tell you, you guys it's all on you. It's your fault.
And it's very strange. Obviously, we know that Mike Brown and everything that his family has done for the National Football League. But it's so weird that he is the owner of this franchise, and I won't call them a laughing stock because they're not, because there's a lot worse run organizations. I mean, we can look at what's going on with the Jets, but you look at this franchise and, his father brought the Browns hell. They're named after him, basically. You know what I'm saying? So you would imagine if you have this much clout and your name carries this much weight in this league, you would put out a better product than you're putting out there for the fan base. And, people talking about, they don't have an offensive line or they don't have a defensive line. You know what? This is the NFL. This isn't Major League Baseball. I talk about this all the time. You and I differ on this. But, in a salary cap sport like the NFL, you can get big time guys to come to your city. It's not like a market size thing. This isn't the NBA or Major League Baseball where the Yankees can basically buy whomever they want. Everybody's playing under the same rules and everybody's playing under the same salary cap.
There's no excuse.
There's no excuses. So the fact that the scouting department is basically non-existent for the Bengals is laughable. It's laughable. Like, that's unacceptable. And you as a fan should hold him accountable for this. These are decisions that they make. I remember when the Cincinnati Bengals, where did they used to do training camp? Like in Georgetown, Kentucky or something like that. And I remember reading an article, and to cut costs, they started doing training camp at the Cincinnati Bengals Stadium. You may say, like, well, what's the difference? Is Cincinnati and Kentucky is right there on the border. But those are the little things. The little things eventually add up, and those little things make free agents not want to come to your organization. You know, there's something to say, like when they're rolling out the red carpet for you to make you feel welcome and everything like that. Because, you know, free agents talk. Like, this league ain't that big. It's only 55 guys per team. Everybody knows everybody. You know what I'm saying? So if a free agent guard is out there, like between, oh man, they talking about going to Tennessee or I'm going to Cincinnati, and they rolling out the red carpet for them down to Cincinnati, making them feel welcome and all this type of stuff, those bells and whistles help bring the guys in. Yeah, the contract at the end of the day really helps, but the bells and whistles do help as well, man. So Cincinnati Bengals fans, look, I'm not a Cincinnati Bengals fan, man. Y'all can stay in the darkness forever for all I care. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. What y'all do don't affect me. But basically, if I was one of y'all, I would be putting the feet to the fire, and the feet to the fire is Mike Brown.
Yeah, and 457-9464 is the number to call in. We're going to get ESPN's Jason Fitz coming up here in just a moment. But keep in mind that we're at the point now where people are talking about like the comparisons not being fair. I mean, right here, Bengals fans, instead of saying, you know what, you're right, our team's bad, you got to start taking shots at the Browns. Like this is Doug Toby, for instance, which, by the way, thanks for getting that Chad Ocho Stinko jersey all washed up and ready to go for me. I'm glad that I didn't have to put that on. You could put it back. In.
No, that was the Bullock. I was rooting at, you know, now Bengals fans, I'm going to say I was rooting for y'all because I wanted to see him in that size medium Bullock jersey.
I tell you what, I mean, yeah, but he goes, in that case, Cleveland fans have been idiots for 30 years, just like the Bengals. I never said that they weren't, but
I agree.
But right now, the Browns, they're 5-2. They have a better roster. They're sitting pretty. All right, they have flaws. They're not perfect. But again, Browns fans have to feel better about their team than you do about yours, and that's even with you having Joe Burrow. We'll close it out with this, by the way. I mean, and I started laughing at this one too, but Dave Penny on Facebook says, most importantly, anyone else think Kinner's goatee looks like the NFL logo? Is that a fair thing?
When he said it, I saw it.
That's what I laughed at earlier. Hold on. Oh, maybe. You know,
you did that on purpose today.
No,
in the mirror doing all this, getting it right, nice and lined up.
Oh yeah, you know me, I'm all about my looks. Ron Moreland. Oh, this is nice. Kinner, you suck. Okay. How are you going to talk about Mike Brown and you have yet to make the playoffs in 30? What does that have to do with anything? I didn't say that the Browns are a great organization. I just said, hey, if the Bengals and Browns organizations are both bad, I would rather have the bad organization that has their team in position to make the playoffs. I'd rather have the bad organization that looked at an offensive line and said, man, we need to protect our investment. I'm going to go get an offensive lineman. Hey, we have all these flaws. I'm going to fill up, not just spend money to make it look. I mean, because Mike Brown just spent money to spend money. He just tried to look busy. We all have those coworkers, especially during these times, that just try to do things to make themselves look busy, but they're really not busy at all. That was Mike Brown, just trying to look busy. Paper trail. Hey, that way, if anyone says, well, what did Mike Brown do during this time? Oh, well, he spent $160 million. Well, he's an idiot because that's what it got you. 1-5-1. Last thing here. Brian Schrader, I'm a huge Bengals fan, and y'all said it correct. My head says jump ship. My heart won't allow it. And that's what the Browns fans were fighting forever and ever and ever.
Oh, roll with your team, but just vote with your pocketbook. You know what I'm saying? You can still be a fan of the team, but, you know, something I learned, man, you know what? I'm not about to let these teams and franchises dominate my weekend. Like, I remember there was a time where, you know, in the middle of the Tressel era, where I basically lived and died with everything the Buckeyes did on the field. Like, they would win a game, like the game that they won against Army. And Brian Roll had to intercept a 2-point conversion for them to seal the victory. And I'm like, yo, hold on, man. Like, this is enough. Like, Tressel, I love you and everything like that. But, yo, man, I can't live and die with every single game, man. Like, it's just too much.
Yep. And that's... Yeah, and by the way, and if like Ohio State starts losing too many big games, Ryan Day, they'll boo him out of here in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
The difference is Gene Smith, that organization, that program, they're great at sniffing out coaching talent, especially for the last 2 decades. That's for damn sure. This is the last. Kevin, Mike Brown's not the issue. It comes to the players producing.
Come on, man.
But Justin, you suck. I mean, that's probably true.
They don't have a scouting department, man. Come on, dog. Come on, man. I mean, we can get into this later, man, but I can pull it up. I can pull up every free agent DB that was on the market last year, and they chose to sign Von Bell. Look, man, y'all gonna say Von Bell is great because he plays Ohio State. Yeah. But look, man, he was a backup with the Saints.
He says the ownership put up, but players don't produce. We have players like Dunlap. Dunlap's good. And by the way, Dunlap's being made to be this bad guy. He's pissed because him and Atkins, you don't have a lot of good players.
Right.
They're your 2 best players, and somehow the smartest man in the room, Zach Taylor and his defensive coordinator, we're going to come up with a scheme to use our best players less. Of course they're pissed. I have no problem. At least they're showing some kind of fight. AJ Green for 5 years. Well, we're losing a lot, but I love it here in Cincinnati. I mean, has anyone ever talked about how great the winners are here? I will put up with Atkins and Dunlap, who actually are showing some fight and some disgust with that organization. Dunlap's not the bad guy. I'm glad he brought that up. We'll get into that.
Nice house for sale.
Yeah, get the hell out of Cincinnati.
Me, you, who else?
Maybe the garage.
I'm pretty about 6 people that's still left in the building. We can probably afford that house.
All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. We'll be joined by ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon is going to be cloudy with a high near 52. Tonight's also going to be cloudy with a low around 43. And tomorrow is going to be mostly cloudy with a high near 60. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
T-Mobile for Business knows saving time and money is important for your business. That's why we're introducing Microsoft 365 on us, now included in our best business plans. With Office apps, Microsoft Teams, cloud storage, and more, Microsoft 365 on us gives you the tools you need to run your business. Stop by a T-Mobile store today. Qualifying plan required. Contactless to activate. 1 license per line, max 2 per account. Third-party terms apply. See T-Mobile.com for plan details.
If you are on Medicare and have questions about drug and health coverage options, register for a Medicare Checkup webinar with the Ohio Department of Insurance. Learn about Medicare open enrollment, financial assistance programs, and important deadlines. Everyone on Medicare should review their health and prescription drug plan options. Annual open enrollment runs October 15th through December 7th, and any changes are effective January 1. Visit insurance.ohio.gov or call 1-800-686-1578 to schedule an appointment.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is getting up to use the bathroom at the stadium.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, sorry. Excuse me? You mind if I just squeeze by here?
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Hope everyone's having a great day. We're going to get back to your phone calls and your Facebook reaction coming up here just around the corner. Again, Browns-Bengals instant classic over the weekend kind of was a battle of, the bottom. But again, if one of the teams in the bottom of the AFC North is still 5-2 and potentially could be, 6-2 heading into the bye week, you know what? That's just fine. I'll take it as far as that's concerned. We'll get back into that coming up here in just a moment. But let's go to the phone and bring on our guest. We have ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Jason, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, but if you think Cleveland's going to start off 6-2, that means they're going to have to beat my beloved Raiders. So we got beef right out of the gate. Come on now.
I was going to say I don't know how friendly of a conversation this will be come next Tuesday. We'll figure that out. But I want to open up with we'll get to that Browns Raiders preview in a moment. But Browns Bengals over the weekend, of course. I mean, how fun was that? Burrow versus Baker. But of course, the big narrative out of that was OBJ going out and how different Baker looked in the final three quarters. And to be fair to Kev has been saying this, that OBJ has been the problem without being the problem. Well, when you think of OBJ being the problem, you think of his antics with other teams. It's just him and Baker have not meshed. But I'm curious your thoughts, Jason. The last three quarters against the Bengals, was the success of Baker due to no OBJ, or was it just chalked up to, it's just the Bengals, who cares?
Well, I don't think it's in that moment. Let's also at least talk a little bit about the play calling and how it changes. Like when you lose somebody like Odell Beckham Jr., it forces or allows, depends on your perspective on it, you to be a little bit more diverse in your play calling. I mean, when you there is a real portion of play calling that is about keeping certain guys engaged in the game and making sure that you're getting them the touches they need without that pressure on trying to feed the ball to Odell Beckham Jr. I think that it sort of allows the whole team to approach the way they're calling the game differently too. So I don't buy that Odell Beckham Jr. is hurting the Browns, but I do buy that there is some level of not having Odell Beckham Jr. on there, whether it's from the play calling or whether it's from the quarterback just not feeling this innate pressure to only look at him. It allows sort of more options in their passing game. And look, guys, it is going to continue, and I know we'll talk about it, but the Raiders' pass defense is atrocious, so Baker should be able to have some success there.
Don't even. I don't need the Bengals fans around here having any fuel to discredit anything Baker does, but you bring up a valid point. Quick question, though, last thing about the Baker-OBJ thing. If the Browns go on again, they were playing well even with Baker. Let's be real. I mean, I know everyone wants to look at that Steelers game and just totally forget that where they were heading into it. But moving forward, if Baker all of a sudden comes out of his struggles and he ends up looking like he did last night, has OBJ played the last game in Cleveland if that's the case?
No, I mean, there's an element here where the contract has to matter too, right? Like they have so much money invested in Odell Beckham Jr., and that money is going to convert over to guarantees in March, I believe it is, and he won't be healthy by then. So they can't cut him. You can't cut or trade a player that's still hurt, right? So because of that, I think about $13 million of it will be guaranteed by the time they can do anything with him. So a team would have to decide to trade for him and take on that money, which I think is probably pretty far-fetched, or they'd have to cut him, and that would result in such a dead cap hit. I just can't see it happening. Like Odell Beckham Jr. right now for the Browns is a little like Kirk Cousins for the Vikings. Doesn't matter if they're in love or not. They're contractually obligated to hang out with each other for at least another full year.
I want to attack this Bengals-Browns game from the Bengals perspective. Everything that they've been doing this season, I've been a proponent of. Their record will probably be the exact same as it was last year, but they'll be a better team. And they've been in every game outside of that Ravens game. What can they do to get themselves over the hump to start getting some W's?
Well, I think part of that has been, we just talked about play calling for one side. I think the play calling on the other side has got to get a little bit more balanced. I think one of the things that you look at for Burrow, and we sort of laughed about how much he's throwing the ball because he's capable of it, and I believe he's, an incredibly good quarterback. I think he's going to have the opportunity to be special. But realistically, they've got to find a little bit more balance in their play calling. When they do that, it seems to help them as an offense. And then the other part of it is what we all know is their offensive line hasn't been particularly good. Now, I love the narrative that, the Bengals just need to shore up the offensive line, which forgets that they've tried to do that. I mean, the Bengals have drafted, they've spent money. I mean, certain teams are not good at evaluating certain positions, and I would put the Bengals in that category when it comes to offensive line play. So they're going to have to figure that out long term so that Burrow doesn't get murdered back there, the amount they've got him throwing. But I think balance is one of the keys that's sort of been forgotten at times because he's so special. And if they can get more balance out of him, I believe that they can be a much better team.
I mean, and what's your mindset on it? And mine is always this: like, we can use excuses like the defense isn't good and the offensive line is bad. But if you're in games, if you're good enough to be in games, you have to be held responsible enough to be expected to win some of those. Like, you're not going to win every one. I get it. There are enough flaws to be, put you behind the 8 ball a little bit. But you're 1-5-1, and you've been in every game except for one. There has to come a point where it's like, we can't just look at them as, oh, well, they're just a rebuilding Bengals. If you're good enough to be in games, if you're good enough to brag about Joe Burrow throwing for 300+ yards, how many games now, and 400 left, if you're good enough to do all of those things, you're clearly good enough within games in certain aspects to overcome a lot of those. You should be expected to win some of those too. They should not be 1-5-1.
Well, I agree with that, but I'll counter that with the Falcons. And, I love this FBI win predictor. Now, I have no idea how we figure these things out. But the win predictor for the Falcons had them at 99.9% against the Cowboys. They lost. 99.6% against the Bears. They lost. And then 96% against the Lions, all late in the fourth quarter. And they lost all these games. Like, there just seems to be, I think one of the issues for some teams is that, as oversimplified as it is certain teams just find ways to lose games, right? So that's part of the cultural shift that has to come in. But I think the other frustrating part, if you're a Bengals fan, is you can look at each game and there's not one play or player that continually bites them in the butt. It's like they're passing the hot potato of just forgetting the moment or how to football in the moment from one guy to the next. And there's not an easy solution to that. They've got to find a way, to your point. I think if they could win one of those games, it gets enough of the monkey off their back that it can sort of relax. I've always been bothered by the concept of needing to find a way to, like, you got to learn how to win close games. Like, these are all elite athletes. They know how to win close games. But that is still true in many locker rooms. Like, they just got to find a way to get over the hump, and then they have that belief.
After getting off to a hot start, the Patriots are now 2-4. They got thrashed by the 49ers on Saturday. What is up with Cam?
Yeah, he doesn't look right. And, one of the things I talked to on the show last night with Sarah, we talked a little bit about this. I don't want to use COVID as an excuse, but I think it needs to be part of the conversation here. Ever since he's come back from COVID, he's looked much different. And for everybody, that hits everybody differently. So I don't know, and I'm not sure we'll ever know how great he's feeling, but you're 1,000% right that Cam doesn't look good. And I think the other part of it, though, the under-talked about part of this, is that we were told in the draft last year that Jarrett Stidham was the reason they weren't interested in looking at a quarterback, even if they had the opportunity to draft one last year. If Stidham can't beat out this version of Cam, then what are they doing with him? So, I'm a little surprised that Stidham hasn't gotten any traction in this. And if he doesn't get any traction and Cam continues to play poorly, that to me is a sign that the Patriots are all out on Stidham, and which is what we expected. We were just sold a different bill of goods.
NFL trade deadline is right around the corner. We're hearing rumors about the Falcons basically blowing everything up. What are you hearing?
Yeah, the same. And the Jets seem to want to be active too. And I understand it. Like, I understand bad teams just dumping payroll and pressing the reset button. But I will ask, like, does 2020 not play into the mindset for anybody? Like, I'm curious how the trade market is going to be affected from two sides. One, how much do you have to take into account that this has been the weirdest offseason you could ever imagine for the team you have assembled? Mm-hmm. But two, how much are you going to be willing to give up, not knowing if we're even going to see this thing through fruition? I mean, we all presume we are. I understand that. But is the team going to give up a bunch of huge draft picks for example, for Gilmore, like everybody's saying today, the Patriots might be shopping him. Well, are you willing to give up a bunch, not knowing how the season's going to play out, whether or not you'll have your full deck of starters most games, how that will affect your playoff seeding? Like, I think there's a lot of variables for teams that usually would be buyers that would keep them on the sidelines a little bit. So I think there's going to be less action than a lot of people think.
All right, Jason, we appreciate your time. I want to send you out with this. There's word right now. We always say we're going to talk more college football with you, but the NFL just dominates everything right now. But look, the Big Ten, they come back, but it reminds me of baseball's first weekend when their opening weekend, and you couldn't even enjoy it because all the COVID narratives that started, unfolding. Wisconsin right off the bat, they were already playing with the backup quarterback who looked really good in Mertz. He gets, he tests positive. Then the third stringer, technically the backup tests positive, and now there's talks of that game might being canceled this weekend coming up with Nebraska. What is going on? And this is not a good start for the Big Ten.
No, and this is worst case scenario because combine that with the fact that Penn State lost to Indiana, and I thought Penn State might have the chance to put themselves slightly in the playoff conversation, but that loss to Indiana is going to be hard for people to forgive. So then you look, all right, who's next up? Well, Wisconsin's on that list, and the thing that people need to understand for the Big Ten is that they have a mandatory 21-day waiting period if you test positive. So as a result of that, you have to look at it and say, okay, then that means Michigan, the biggest game Wisconsin has on their schedule, is just under 21 days away. So you're going to be without your quarterback for the biggest game you've got and your biggest shot at making a statement towards the playoff. So, I mean, my heart's breaking for Wisconsin, who, like, Wisconsin fans had to be doing the whole Badger mushroom thing, celebrating and saying, hey, my God, we finally got a quarterback. And it's like, well, hold on, 2020 is still going to get you. So, unfortunate moment for the Badgers because I'm not sure how they'll survive it.
All right, good stuff. You can catch Jason Fitz weeknights right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Spain and Fitz, 7 to 9 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Jason joins us every week. Browns Raiders this Sunday. My prediction, Jason, the Browns win 35-24. What is your prediction?
Oh, you're underselling the amount of points in this one. I think the Raiders are going to win this game, but I think it's in the 40 to 35 range. Like it's going to be a burner.
The
it's going to be
Big 12. So you're giving the Browns the 35. I'm giving them. That's fair. But you're saying 40 to 35, which with the Browns defense too, that's not that, we could be Browns Bengals part 2 next weekend. It could come down to, the final moments like we saw last weekend. All right. 40-35, Jason's prediction for the Raiders over the Browns. I predict 35-24 Browns over the Raiders. Jason, good stuff as always. Thank you.
You guys have a great week. Thanks.
Later.
All right, good stuff there. Jason Fitz joins us each and every week, and we always appreciate hanging out with him. But yes, Browns and Raiders coming up. Raiders coming off against that tough defeat against the Buccaneers over the weekend. I see you, Ron. Don't worry. We're going to get Ron Howard. Ron Moreland's being mean. He said I'm a dork. He said I suck. He said a lot of mean things about me today. But Ron Howard, he wants to talk about, ask about last week's Raiders game. I'm like, what was last week? Oh, the Buccaneers. Yeah, I see you, Ron. Don't worry. Antonio Brown, Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette. I mean, good for Tommy.
A lot of talent. Real quick, NFL notes to pass along. Washington football team places safety Landon Collins on IR with a torn Achilles. Former Ohio State Buckeye Eli Apple released by the Panthers. What else we got?
Put him with Von Bell. There you go.
Yeah. You're so foul. Ravens officially signed Dez Bryant, and we got one. That's it. Oh, here we go. One for all you Browns fans out there. Giants signed wide receiver Corey Coleman to the practice squad.
He was with the Giants. Yeah.
Welcome back to the league.
All right, folks. We'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash next.
John McManus is running hard to be our Montgomery County treasurer. Montgomery County is already one of the highest tax counties in the state. It seems like every day we're being told to pay higher and higher taxes. Now, in the middle of a pandemic, we're told to get ready for another tax increase next year. When John McManus was vice president of the largest school board in Montgomery County, he fought against property tax increases. As our next county treasurer, he'll stand with us again. This November, vote John McManus for Montgomery County treasurer.
I'm John McManus, and I approve this message.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is getting up to use the bathroom at the stadium.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, sorry. Excuse me? Mind if I just squeeze by here?
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
They can bulge, go bald, wear down, flatten, or be in dire need of replacing. No, guys, it's not you. We're talking about your tires. Let Fat Boys get your car rolling again. Safe and sound. Fat Boys carries tires in all makes, styles, and sizes, including Continental, Goodyear, Michelin, and more. Check out Fat Boys' new location in North Dayton at the corner of Needmore and I-75 or 3050 Springboro Pike in South Dayton. Fat Boys, your ultimate resource for wheels, tires, service, and accessories. Look for Fat Boys at fatboysdayton.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Of course we can help you with that oil change. Doing it yourself is a great way to save some money. Right now you can get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX high mileage motor oil and an STP oil filter for just $28.99. And we've got even more ways to get it. Just order online with our next day delivery or free same day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Other banks charge fees on savings and checking accounts. Doesn't sound good, does it? Capital One reimagined banking. So it sounds more like this. With Capital One, you can open an account with no fees or minimums in 5 minutes. Get started now at a Capital One location or online. Sound good to you? This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Approval required. Offered by Capital One NA member FDIC. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Audible now gives you thousands of audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all in one place. The new Audible is your playlist for life. Download the Audible app to get started.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Now here's the deal. I don't want a lot of people hating me, so Kevin, I think once a show, I need to say something nice about the Bengals.
Go for it.
No, not today. Not today. Not in the mood. But
Friday?
No, once a day, starting tomorrow, I will, and I'll repeat the same one. So at the top of every hour, moving forward, every day, I will come up with something different and nice to say about the Bengals so that some of these folks can just relax. Stop being, so sensitive. He said my team's bad. I thought you knew. So I disagree with Jason on that, about that too. Like, if you're good enough to be in, and again, forget the. I'm not even going to mention the Bengals' name after I said that. I would say this about any team. If you are good enough to be in one possession games consistently, you can't always use your offensive line and your defensive flaws to as an excuse as to why you lose. Because if your offensive line was truly that bad, your quarterback wouldn't be throwing for 300 yards. And by the way, it's bad. Don't get me wrong. He's being sacked a lot. I'm not going to try and say, you see what I'm saying? They're like, it clearly, because if it's legit bad, there are quarterbacks that can't even function because their offensive line is so bad. His is bad, but apparently it's good enough for him to have enough time to be able to throw for 300 yards a game. So I'm not going to buy into that. They need to fix it, but I'm not like, you can't do that. You can't say, well, we're losing because of our offensive line's bad. Well, by you saying your offensive line is bad, that means you are using that as an excuse as why your passing game is bad, but your passing game's good. So I disagree. You can't consistently be in one possession games and then use, well, our defense is bad, our offensive line is bad. The defensive line is just good enough to have you in these one possession games. Your offense is just good enough to have you in these one possession games. You got to stop making excuses. This isn't just about the team south from us. This would be about any team. If it was the Browns or any team out there, do you see what I'm like? There comes a point where you're this far into the season and this many one possession games. I think the biggest issue, the offensive line bad, defensive coaching is the number one issue. And how Jason Fitz even said play calling is the number one issue in Cincinnati right now as far as that goes.
Where do you come down with the man, we just need to get one close to the game. We need to win one of these close games to get over the hump. And it's like, all right, we got over that hump. Let's build on it, because, the game that they won wasn't a close game. They won comfortably. They had to tie with Philadelphia and everything like that. So technically they have won no close games. They've been blown out. They won comfortably
and tied
in a bunch of close games, losses. So I'm a proponent of believing that, fan bases want it overnight. And this is just like the building steps of, getting to respectability. Like, you're all right. Last year, they were just getting comfortably losing all their games. This year, they're in the games. Thank goodness you're in the games. It's hella entertaining for me to watch. So now you need to win the close games. And then, that's how I view things. I feel it as a, building process. I don't think you can just turn the switch on one day and just say, like, all right, we're just winning games. I just don't view it that way.
Yeah, and possibly. But again, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to continue with that. I wanted to bring that up and say, like, I get if like the Jets, they get blown out every week.
Yeah.
If they want to talk about their offensive line, okay. You want to talk about your defense? Okay. But you don't have.
We'll talk about their coach.
Talk
about their DBs. Talk about their linebackers.
You're so bad that you can't even stay in games. But the Bengals are over here in all these one possession games, but you're trying to use your offensive line as an excuse. You can't tell me 1 minute, man, Joe Burrow's so great, he's throwing for 300 plus yards, but our offensive line is the worst ever. You can't have it both ways. I believe that the offensive line is bad, but it can't be that bad, because if the offensive line is that bad, that means you don't have time to stand in the pocket to throw for 300 yards.
That false start by Billy Price. Woo-wee.
That's fine. He's a Buckeye.
Once a Buckeye?
Always a Buckeye.
Let's just take Martell.
There you go. Hour 3 coming up. Top 5, bottom 5 in the NFL. I swear this time we will get to that. And then we're going to talk plenty of college football. Urban. Holy smokes. I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry, Coach Day. I'm so sorry. Ryan Day smacked Nebraska around so bad that he had to apologize. And I think he had no business apologizing. We'll get into that in hour number 3. Plus top 5, bottom 5, and more of your calls, more of your Facebook reaction. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's opponents on Man versus Train. At the crossing, we have Rick, a 175-pound frustrated man who's running late for work. And on the tracks, we have Bull, a 1 million-pound freight train that takes a mile to stop. Let's see who comes out on top.
You can't beat a train, so don't try. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
My stomach.
Don't worry. I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismol's in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Walgreens has always been there to help make your healthcare easier. From making sure you have the prescriptions you need to answering any questions you have about them. Now, the question is whether you have the right Medicare plan. And we're here to help make that easier too. Walgreens can save you money and peace of mind with copays as low as $0. Visit walgreens.com/Medicare today to see how. Walgreens. We make Medicare easy. $0 copay on Tier 1 generic drugs when enrolled in a plan with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter finds the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists.
And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After falling to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1982 NBA Finals, the 76ers needed to find the right player to build the ultimate winning team. In September of '82, they acquired restricted free agent Moses Malone. They went on to rack up a 65-17 regular season record and followed that up with a 12-1 postseason record. Malone won the regular season and NBA Finals MVP award.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
I'm attorney David Brannon, and I'm running for Montgomery County Probate Court Judge on November 3rd. I've worked hard to protect those in need and to get the right answers for families in probate court. I am also certified by the Ohio State Bar Association as a specialist in probate law. I have several plans to improve court services to this community. First, I want to allow a law clinic underneath the roof of the probate court to provide better access to justice for families. I also want to streamline the filing process to improve efficiency and fairness. Please vote for me, David Brannon, November 3rd. I'm David Brannon, and I approve this message.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Of course we can help you with that oil change. Doing it yourself is a great way to save some money. Right now you can get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX high mileage motor oil and an STP oil filter for just $28.99. And we've got even more ways to get it. Just order online with our next day delivery or free same day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Order. Continue, Ms. Garner.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day.
Objection! My credit card doesn't earn double miles on every purchase.
I object to your objection. With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase.
Order.
And right now, earn 100,000 bonus miles when you spend $20,000 in your first year.
I'll allow it.
No further questions, Your Honor. Well, just one. What's in your wallet?
Limited time offer. Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. True Bolt door locks provide you with quality products for security at an affordable price. They offer a full line of locks in a variety of styles and finishes. All True Bolt lock sets are 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through Saturday, October 31st. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Cleveland State women's basketball coach Chris Kilsmeyer, COVID survivor.
I was fatigued, just like every other basketball coach in March, but didn't think about getting sick. I woke up one night with the worst pains and chills I'd ever experienced. I tested positive for coronavirus and immediately self-quarantined. I got worse and worse and checked into the hospital. Multiple times I said, I don't want to die. We know what works. We know how to fight this, but it's going to take all of us doing the right thing every single day.
Sponsored by the Ohio Hospital Association.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-721-4880. That's 800-721-4880. 800-721-4880. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Walgreens has always been there to help make your healthcare easier. From making sure you have the prescriptions you need to answering any questions you have about them. Now, the question is whether you have the right Medicare plan. And we're here to help make that easier too. Walgreens can save you money and peace of mind with copays as low as $0. Visit walgreens.com/Medicare today to see how. Walgreens. We make Medicare easy. $0 copay on Tier 1 generic drugs when enrolled in a plan with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter finds the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists.
And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Allstate now has deeper savings, and deeper savings require deep thoughts and a deep voice, like mine. Save for being a new customer. Save more for adding DriveWise, and save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. As someone once said, saving today is money tomorrow. That's deep.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Pros today have to do whatever the job calls for, and the Home Depot is here to help make that easier. With a wide range of delivery options, you can get what you need, from job lot quantities to small supply runs, delivered where and when you need it. Don't want to buy the tool? Rent it. We've got the most innovative products and more ways for pros to find them, in-store and online. Pros are changing, so are we. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
Whether it's betting on the big game, catching up on bills, or saving up for the holidays, we could all use a little extra cash this time of year. Hey, how does $1,000 sound? It's the ESPN Dayton #We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Listen for the word that wins every hour, starting at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Enter the word at wingam.com for your chance to win $1,000. It's the ESPN Dayton We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. 1410 WINGAM.
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
We are Dayton's ESPN radio station.
Horrible music selection. Making it rain.
Yeah, buddy.
Making it rain. And people keep calling that the stripper song, too. Like
it is.
Caught on.
Alexa, coming to the stage.
It says, get your hands out. It doesn't say, hey, Alexa.
Definitely says, hey, Alexa, come to the stage.
All right. There you go.
Cinnamon to the stage.
I was going to say, it's Alexa. Real creative on the name there.
Cinnamon, sunshine.
All right, folks, we welcome you back. Hour 3 of the Justin Kinner Show. Top 5, bottom 5 coming up here in just a second. But first, we have another satisfied customer. Back to the phones. 457-9464. Anything Browns, Bengals related, NFL, anything. Go to the phones. We got Lance. Lance, thanks for holding, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How did you introduce this fan of yours?
I said another satisfied customer, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I'm partway satisfied. I like your show, but there's times I just have to turn it off because you're so negative to the Bengals. I guess I have to preface this with, I grew up a Browns fan.
Uh-huh.
I met Paul Warfield, Marion Motley, Bob DeMarco, who played for the Browns after he played for St. Louis, went to UD, was a good friend of my father's, and we'd go up to, when St. Louis would visit the Browns, we'd go up and, I was about 10 years old, and I'd go out to dinner with these guys, and, I remember I couldn't believe they were drinking beer and smoking cigars, but, that's just a kid's story. But
that's a really good one, too, but that's really cool.
Well, thank you. The Browns meant a lot to me, and they still do. Now, when I'm 67, back in the 80s, well, let me preface this. When I went to college in the early 70s, pro football was the last thing on my mind. But when I graduated and entered my field of work, I wanted to re-enter, being a fan of football. And I was tossed between, should I go back to the Browns or should I become a Bengals fan? And then I had a confrontation, friendly one, with a worker of mine who was a Browns fan. And from that encounter, I chose to become a Bengals fan. But I guess my point is, I just don't understand why you're so negative against the Bengals. I understand you're a Browns fan, but you act like they're the second coming. And really, this is the first year, I think, that going into 6 games of the season, you've had a winning record since you moved out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you as a listener, it kind of reminds me of there was an announcer on, I believe it was ESPN. He's from Michigan, and he was well-known. I don't know why he got cut off, but it wasn't – I could listen to him for about 2 minutes until he started bragging on Michigan. You probably know who I'm talking about.
But again, I get it. We all want to hear what we want to, we want to hear our teams be talked good about. But a lot of times I'll be talking Browns. Bengals fans don't like when the Browns or Baker Mayfield does well. Now, you will probably counter with, you're not one of them, that you love success for both teams, and that's fair. But there are a lot more others who are a little bit more boisterous in their opinions about me and the show and about the Browns. So a lot of times I'm just on the defensive. So sometimes, if you might be tuning in at a time that I'm just slaying the Bengals, but usually it's because, if I'm saying, man, Baker looked really good on Sunday, I'll have 100 messages about how horrible Baker is and the Bengals are this and Burrow's that. And so, that's what it is. We all have fun with our little rivalries. That's what makes these fun. And sometimes I get if you don't want to hear that much, against the Bengals, but a lot of times it's just the back and forth. So I apologize if you don't like that. I'll give you that. But I don't hate the Bengals as much as I come across. I promise you that much.
No reason for an apology. I'm just trying to.
Not many people get a lot from me, so this is a big step for me. And Lance, you seem like a nice guy, so you got an apology out of me. But I did say earlier I will start every show with something nice about the Bengals. In all honesty, so there you go.
And I will hold. I won't hold you to that because I think you do try. You do try. I'll give you that. But, all right, well, listen, I'm glad you listened to me. And one last thought, I think Burrow is great. Mm-hmm. No matter whose team you're a fan of, I really worry, and you've mentioned it, that this dude's going to get hurt this year.
Yep.
And I know he wouldn't like it, but, God, I hope they pull him after the second half.
Especially you got with the Steelers and some other big hard-hitting teams coming up. But we'll see. Look, the Browns. The one thing about their pass rush, that's one of their strengths. Burrow got hit over the weekend against the Browns, but I thought late in that fourth quarter, Burrow had time in that pocket, and that's after a lot of guys. That's after Hopkins and a lot of key guys went down. I'm not saying that the Bengals' offensive line is good by any means, but I will give them credit. The Browns' D line's not bad, and they held their own against them for some of the bigger parts of the game.
Exactly. Okay, well, thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Lance, you take care. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. All right. See, you said I couldn't play nice with others.
You did a great job. I'm proud.
I'm learning as I get older that I'm not always right.
Let's see how you do on this one.
Who we got?
We got Reggie.
Reggie. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
There we go. There we go. Reggie, when I left Frickers on Sunday, one of the last things I told you was, get Baker out of there, get Matt Ryan. I left, and it was a completely different ball game, and now I'm wrong. Forget Matt Ryan. Matt who? No.
Well, I pretty much had faith in them able to come back, and, he had a strong following. As I left, I had to listen on the radio because I was driving, doing other things. But, never lost faith in them, and, they pretty much proved that they can be able to come back in times of need. But the other thing that's going to be interesting about this week, of course, like we talked about, was that as far as Jerry has not called yet, I'm not sure.
Gentlemen.
but about the matchup with the Raiders this week. So it'll definitely be a interesting conversation if he ever calls in. But there is one other interesting point here that deals with you, Kev.
What's up?
Oh yeah, Kev, I forgot you're in the line of fire.
What's up?
Get him, Reggie.
Yeah. Do you remember last season there was a bet thrown out between me and Kenner with the Browns and Bengals game, the first one? You threw your hat in talking about, I'll throw some beer on that one.
Oh, did I?
Yes.
Typical Kevin, never paying off his bets. I tell you.
I'll pay up my bet. I have no problem with paying my bet.
Oh yeah, you owe me a 6-pack of beer.
I got you. What you drink?
Give me a good old Bud Light.
Bud Light. I got you, man. Don't even worry about it, man. I got you.
All right. So that was the interesting thing, but it's rough enough that OBJ's out with the ACL tear and everything. But I'm thinking this gives chance for Higgins and People Jones, gives them opportunity to try to get more reps. Now they don't need to go try to pick someone else up. Get the receivers that are on the roster, give them that chance to see if they can.
Yeah, go get some defensive help. Go get some linebackers. Go get just the depth at secondary, man.
Here's the funny thing about defense. There is two people that are still not on rosters. One is Javian Clowney, still has not signed with a team yet.
No, Clowney's with Tennessee.
He signed with Tennessee finally.
Yeah.
Because for the longest, he was never signing. Cleveland offered him the most money.
Yeah, he took way less money to play with the Titans, and Cleveland was willing. I mean, Cleveland has like $30 million in cap space available at this trade deadline. If they wanted to make something happen, they could. The problem is one of the bigger trade chips in OBJ, even if he was healthy, they can't get anything for him because you can't trade an injured player. So they're going to have to be creative with what they do here, and I don't want to see him unload too many draft picks. That's the thing.
But here's the other person, is Earl Thomas. He's a corner. He's available. He is not signed to nobody. He's just sitting and waiting.
And there has to be some more to that too, Reggie, because there are teams like the Cowboys. Right. There are teams like the Eagles. There are teams that, although they may be bad, they might be a piece or two away from sneaking in 6, 7, 8 wins that will easily win the NFC East. If you're Cleveland, why don't you go after them? There has to be something within those negotiation conversations that there's some things just falling through, because I'm with you, Reggie. I don't get how there's a lot of bad teams in the NFL this year. There's a lot of fringe teams. And there's even really good teams that aren't reloading. I mean, I love the fact that you have the Buccaneers who have Tom Brady and Leonard Fournette, and they went out and they got an Antonio Brown. I love that teams who are sitting here right now who are already good are saying we need to get better. And then you have teams who are good that need to improve to even get on the level of those other teams, and they're just sitting here. Cleveland needs to make a move, whether it's signing him or making some moves at the trade deadline. You can't just continue sitting here. So I'm with you on that.
I don't know about that pickup for anybody personally. With the Ravens signing him last year to a pretty big contract and then letting him go after one season, he's had workouts with the Texans. There was rumors he was going to go to, like you said, Philadelphia. There has to be, what's the saying? Smoke where there's fire, or whatever. Fire where there's smoke. Well, however it goes. Like
there's smoke, there's fire.
However it goes.
Teams don't want the smoke.
Yeah, like there's something going on with Earl Thomas that teams are steering away from him.
Well, I mean, we don't know, because I haven't heard anything about Cleveland talking to him yet or anything, but they need right now, Cleveland secondary, we need a strong corner, because right now Ward's starting to pick up his pace in his position, but we need a whole lot more. We need some more depth, and he right now is the best person out there who can come right in and be a disruptor when it comes to a secondary.
I agree. And Reggie, I appreciate the call and thank you today. And whoever that could be to then go out and get. I mean, again, there's so many, and you sent me something last week about potential trade targets and stuff, and we'll have to go and dissect those. But what you saying?
No, I was just looking at some of the stuff that's going on with Earl Thomas. I'm trying to get like the latest information on him. I haven't found anything quite yet.
Who we got up next? 457-9464. Up next, Kev, we got who?
We got Ron in West Carrollton.
Ron in West Carrollton. Is this Notre Dame fan, Ron?
No, it is not. It's Cowboys and Buckeyes, buddy boy.
Oh, okay. Buddy boy. I like that, buddy boy. No, okay. What you got for us today, Ron? Welcome in.
Yeah, buddy. I met you at I put this on weekend.
Oh, that was you. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Thank you. Those cards were pretty cool. We appreciate you dropping those off. Those were nice.
You're welcome. My question to you is, have my Cowboys tanked this year or not?
I don't think they intended. Look, you can't tank when you were coming in talking about expectations of winning the division, which they still technically can do, but they might win it by accident. But you can't. I don't think you're tanking if you're just naturally that bad. They're that bad right now, and I don't get. I mean, look, injuries are plaguing that team a lot, but as Kevin and others have stated, injuries are part of it. It's not just that they're bad and not that they're injured. They've quit on Mike McCarthy. You know, I admit I'm wrong a lot, and I'm admitting I'm wrong here. I'm so glad that the Browns got Kevin Stefanski, not Mike McCarthy, because we saw the Packers and Aaron Rodgers quit on Mike McCarthy towards the tail end of his run there, and now the Cowboys have quit on him from the very beginning. I mean, no, to answer your question, Ron, I don't think they're tanking. I just think there's a humongous disconnect between them and their head coach.
So what is Jerry Jones sitting back watching them for? Why are you watching?
Jerry's a prideful man, and he can't let him go. He's not going to admit that he was wrong with his head coaching hire. I mean, look, he's like the Bengals were. I mean, how long did he stick to Jason Garrett just because he didn't want to, succumb to pressure from the public and from the media and fans to, hey, we got to move on from him because they told us to. I think that his stubbornness is going to get in the way here, but they. I don't blame them for hiring Mike McCarthy. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach, but I don't think they did their homework. Marvin Lewis would have done a way better job with this team than Mike McCarthy, and instead they used Marvin Lewis just to appease the Rooney Rule as opposed to actually looking at who's the better coach. They went with Mike McCarthy because, hey, he has a Super Bowl, but clearly he has a lot of issues because he had a falling out with Green Bay, and it's leading into the Cowboys run right now with him. I would have taken Marvin Lewis over Mike McCarthy.
Well, I'm on the verge of becoming a Browns fan rest of the year, and just say, and the Cowboys, you make a turn here for the better, I think, or even a good.
Yep.
I think I'm done. This is turning into a fiasco. This turned into an embarrassment, and I'm sad for my Cowboys. I really am. They're looking pitiful week after week.
I agree with you. And thank you again for those cards. Those were really cool. I'll show those off here in a second. I have them here in the studio. You take care.
All right, thank you, man.
Later on.
He has a humongous Keith Byers card collection. And there's one of him, I think it was Roth or Trot, whatever. It's really cool. I'll show the card here coming up here in a second. It's really cool. But I appreciate him bringing that out.
Nice.
Yeah, Cowboys, McCarthy.
But Philadelphia, 2-4-1. Washington football team, 2-5. Cowboys right there at 2-5. And
the division's heating up, baby.
Believe it or not, the Giants at 1-6 are right where they want to be.
Right there in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. By the way, Trevor Lawrence was asked about him coming back. He goes, look, from the get-go, I've said I'm willing to he goes, from the get-go, the plan was for me to go to the NFL, but he said anything can happen right now. So he might be shifting his stance on that, and I don't blame him. Jets, Jets. He's probably looking at Joe Burrow and saying, nope.
He would
Lance,
definitely be in a worse position than
Lance,
Joe Burrow.
I disagree. But Lance, we're good. I'm done.
This guy.
I'm good. We're good. I'm doing better. I'm trying.
The New Jersey Jets.
Jets, Jets. We'll be back in a moment. Top 5, bottom 5. Finally.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Report 3.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon is going to be cloudy with a high near 52. Tonight's also going to be cloudy with a low around 43. And tomorrow is going to be mostly cloudy with a high near 60. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
I absolutely love my dog, but the constant shedding, not so much. But then I got a Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, and it is amazing. These super thick cloths pick up a crazy amount of hair. Just look at all that. And that was from just one swipe. And the best part? Sweeper's so much easier to maneuver than a broom or a vacuum, easily getting around chairs and under the couch. You're right. Now I can focus on you, not your shedding. Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit. because shed happens.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter finds the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists.
And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Make it a Redbox night with an edge-of-your-seat action thriller that can't be missed. Rent Ava, starring Jessica Chastain. Ava is a notorious assassin who travels the globe specializing in high-profile hits. However, when a job goes dangerously wrong, she is forced to fight for her own survival. Rent Ava, along with other new movies, tonight. Head to one of the 40,000 Redbox locations. Stream on your smart TV or visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
At Sport Clips Haircuts, we are on a mission to help veterans with their education through the VFW Sport Clips Help a Hero Scholarship Program. Through generous donations from people like you, we've raised $8 million and awarded 1,750 scholarships to deserving veterans across the country. And on Veterans Day, November 11th, Sport Clips will donate an additional $1 for every haircut we give. Help us continue this honorable mission. Visit Sport Clips today and help a hero.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
Call It Propane has been serving the Buckeye Nation in the Miami Valley for over 65 years.
Let our family help protect your family from old man winter. Find out why 98% of our customers would recommend us to friends and family. Ask about the service options at 937-372-9194.
Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Call It Propane and Call It Seal Coating are proud to serve the Buckeye Nation.
Beware, the forces of hail will rain down upon you. What the hail? Storms, the threat of eternal hail.
Who the hell was that, honey?
Hale, if I know.
What the hell did he want?
He was hella concerned about us getting a roof inspection.
Hell of a way to tell you about it.
Lance Roofing and Siding is your local expert in everything hail can damage on your home. Have unsightly hail damage? Visit us at lanceroofing.com to schedule your appointment today.
Welcome to another Fantastic Four golf hole experience with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys.
Me and the boys are in Springfield, Ohio today. We're playing Windy Knoll, an extremely well-maintained course known as Central Ohio's premier link-style golf course. We're getting ready to tee off at the 9th hole. It's a par 5 and the longest hole on the course. They say you can get on the green in 2 with the wind at your back, but I'll feel good if I could just stay in the fairway and avoid the dangerous mounds on my right. I'm off the tee in good shape, but my second shot drifts left toward the water. I land short, and it takes 2 shots for me to get up in front of the green. This is a big green, and I need 3 putts to get in for a double bogey. Not my best hole, but definitely one of my favorite golf courses. If you're looking for a unique and truly enjoyable golf experience, you have to come out and play Windy Knoll. Stay tuned for more Fantastic Four golf hole experiences with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys. See you at the next hole.
Visit buygolfforhalf.com for half-price golf packages from Windy Knoll and other great local golf courses around the Miami Valley.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Limu, I love how we're always looking out for each other. Kind of like how Liberty Mutual looks out for you by customizing your home insurance. So you only pay for what you need.
Limu, why didn't you tell me about the uncovered manhole? I was literally just telling you. Limu,
I had no idea you could swim.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now. But if you're having an irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, don't wait. This could be a serious condition like atrial fibrillation, which can make you about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you're having these symptoms, don't wait. Talk to a doctor by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Audible now gives you thousands of audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all in one place. The new Audible is your playlist for life. Download the Audible app to get started.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now. Incredible! Good luck. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
Back to the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN's Adam Schefter. Schedule announcement for your Cincinnati Bengals right here. The NFL has moved Week 10's Cincinnati Steelers matchup from 1 o'clock to 4:25 on Fox. November 15th game. Again, it's a flex scheduling change. So the Steelers and the Steelers and the Bengals on November 15th. That was supposed to be a 1 o'clock kickoff. Now 4:45, and again that's on Fox. And so there you go.
I'll be watching.
How will
you be watching? How will you be? Will you be hate watching?
Oh, it's what I do. I'm a big hater. Big hater. We spent a lot of time on Browns Bengals today. Obviously, look, they played each other on Sunday. It was an instant classic. In all seriousness, regardless of all the back and forth between me and Bengals fans today, that was fun. And even if the Browns would have lost, which by the way, I threw my phone. I thought they had lost. I had zero faith. Even though Baker Mayfield had 4 go-ahead touchdowns in the fourth quarter, I had no confidence that he would get that fourth one. And again, talk about the bad defense for the Bengals all you want, but the throw he made, to have the confidence to make the throw and give, Donovan Peoples-Jones and Higgins and those guys credit, they went up and got it, man. Yeah. Like, you say what you want about the bad defenses, but like they're bad defenses, but they're still NFL athletes, and you're still throwing the ball up there at a spot to the perfect spot. I mean, it was the perfect spot. But a lot of those throws, it's not like the Bengals were leaving guys wide open. A lot of those passes were defended. A lot of those passes where Baker got them right where they needed to be, and they brought them in. That's, and by the way, I don't get it. I know what you're saying. Baker Mayfield and OBJ, it did not work. And we're using past tense because it did not work. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I will say this, though. If OBJ is healthy in the offseason and the Browns go on, I think they're going to win with or without OBJ because, again, their talent was never predicated around the pass to begin with, which is another reason I never thought it made sense to have OBJ in Cleveland anyways, which is why you and I got in that argument earlier in the year. I got annoyed by saying, you're calling Baker a game manager. If he's a game manager, that means the front office has failed with drafting him because you drafted him for what he did his rookie year.
Well, this front office didn't draft him.
But I see what you're. But at the same time, this front office went out and got OBJ, or this organization went out and got OBJ because of what they thought they were going to get, the arm and the ability to move the ball up and down the field. You can call Baker a game manager, but he was not supposed to be a game manager. Right. They didn't go get this. You see what I mean? That's where it was my argument about all of this from the beginning is that this Browns offense was never intended to be a game managed offense. Correct. Or it was never set up or built to be led by a game manager.
Pick. No first round quarterback pick is set up
number
to be
whatever.
Game manager. Nobody intends that. It just kind of morphs into that because of circumstances and ability and everything like that. So yeah, I agree with you there, but that's what it morphed into, especially with the way they the coaching staff that they chose to go with, which turns out to be the biggest free agent move of the offseason. And now kind of like we see Baker perform like he did his rookie year in one game. Let's see if he can perform like that in 2 games, in 3 games, and 4 games, and so on and so forth. So if this ends up being, if people of my ilk are right to say that, OBJ is not a fit with them, or Baker just doesn't mesh well with OBJ for whatever reason, we're going to find out. Because unfortunately OBJ is not coming back because he blew out his knee.
The last time the Raiders and the Browns played, remember, the Raiders won 45-42. It was a shootout. Yeah. Baker Mayfield, it was a fun game to watch, and it was like every Baker would make a big play and the defense would give up. A touchdown. It was just one of those. And Baker Mayfield, let's be clear, it was, the running game too. The Cleveland Browns had 208 yards. Nick Chubb had 105 and 2 touchdowns. Carlos Hyde had 82 and a touchdown. Carlos Hyde, the Nick Chubb, Carlos Hyde usage along with Duke Johnson that year was very similar to how the Browns use Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt right now, but there is no Nick Chubb. It's Kareem Hunt and company. Baker Mayfield threw for 300 yards, couple touchdowns, in that shootout against the Raiders. I'm expecting that type of thing. So if Baker doesn't look like that against this Raiders team, which again, there's changes on the defensive side, don't get me wrong, but let's be clear. If Baker goes back to looking like game manager Baker, then this wasn't an OBJ issue. That's all. If you're watching live on Facebook, take a look. Baker Mayfield with OBJ, he's only completes 60% of his passes. The touchdown to interception ratio, 29-27. 27 interceptions without, and this goes back to 2019, okay?
Right.
Baker Mayfield without him out on the field, and that's if a package has him taken off. This isn't like the rookie year. These numbers aren't with the rookie year, but this number is like last year if there were certain plays without OBJ on the field. Baker Mayfield, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. Those 20. What that says to me, when you have 29 touchdowns to 27 interceptions with him on the field, and 8 touchdowns to 1 interception with him off, that high turnover clip to me screams I'm trying to force you the ball. I'm trying to force him the ball. I'm trying to make something happen. I think that's the key. So to sum up, we're repeating what we talked about in the first hour, but I will say this as we close this part out. This isn't OBJ did nothing wrong, and I don't think Baker did anything wrong. There's just sometimes it just doesn't mesh. In the NBA, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. Are they bad players?
No.
Hell no, but it doesn't work. It's not going to work. We see that in other sports all the time. Chemistry matters, and chemistry never worked here. And by the way, I don't like people are like, the Browns failed. They did not fail. That was a win. They looked at their quarterback and they said, what do we got to do to make sure he has weapons? Well, let's go get OBJ. They lost Zeller. They went out. Zeitler. I'm sorry. They lost Zeitler. They gave up. They were dumb and weakened that offensive line, which was Baker's strength his rookie year. But they gave up pieces to go get him. I don't blame the Browns at all. I don't look at this as a failed. I don't think the Browns failed. I just think the experiment failed. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Can an experiment fail and you not fail? I think that's what happened here. And who knows? We may not have seen the last of OBJ in Cleveland, but it is interesting. Jason Pruitt on Facebook says, I think Odell, and I don't know what you think about this, Kev. I think Odell would be a better fit for the Saints. Keep in mind, that would mean for next year, Drew Brees is gone. I think there's a good shot that Saints offense is going to look so different next year. I'm not saying that wouldn't work, but if you're saying you think he makes sense for the Saints because of the offense now with Drew Brees, I agree with you. Where does he end up?
Man,
if Cam was playing better, I would say New England. But Cam's struggling right now.
Definitely struggling. I don't see OBJ ending up with Saints because they just paid Michael Thomas a lot of money. I don't think you can have that much money tied up into 2 wide receivers when you're trying to sign your running back as well. I know that a lot of money's going to come off the books whenever, Drew Brees retires or whatever, but I just don't see them making that play. The Patriots, we always say the Patriots when, big time guys are available, but currently the way they're playing, maybe it's because they haven't practiced a ton because of COVID and everything. Maybe that has something to do with it, or maybe they're just not good,
What about the Niners? Like, there's all this talk about Matt Ryan going to the Niners next year. OBJ to the Niners with Matt Ryan, with defense.
They run the same offense that the Browns run. They're a heavy run team. Big time run team.
But keep in mind, you could be a heavy run team. Like, the Browns were a heavy run team over the weekend and still pass. Like, keep in mind, the Browns, and I've said this in the beginning, which is what we also butted heads about Baker Mayfield being a game manager. Sometimes you're a game manager because you have to be. Like, if Alex Smith was capable of airing it out with the best of them consistently, because he had off weeks, if Alex Smith could outthrow the best quarterbacks in the league, he never would have been a game manager. He would have been a Patrick Mahomes. They would have never had to go get Patrick Mahomes because Alex Smith. So when Baker's managing the game, To me, that's because you're trying to overmanage his deficiencies. If moving forward without OBJ, if that what we just showed you and talked about, those numbers that back your stance that OBJ was the problem, if Baker is going to, and I don't expect it to look as easy because there will be more difficult defenses they go up against, but you heard Jason Fitz on the show earlier, one of the worst pass rushing defenses in the league, and the Raiders, Baker's going to have time in the pocket. Look for him to have another big game through the air. Kev, I think the Browns' offense can go to another dimension right now. Yeah, I think they can, because you're going to get Nick Chubb back here in a few weeks. So you could still be a heavy run team. You're still going to rely heavily on the run. But now if you have a confident Baker Mayfield that's making plays in the air, now we're talking about a different Browns team than what we were 2 weeks ago when I was selling stock, because I was like, you can get to the playoffs this way, but you're not going to beat great teams this way. But from what I saw this past weekend of what Baker kind of coming back to life a bit, if you would get forced into a situation where you need to air it out, now I have confidence that they could do it, but I need to see it against a better team than the Bengals.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm going to need to see it against a better team than the Raiders. But if you could repeat what you did against the Bengals, against the Raiders heading into the bye week, that confidence going into that matchup with the Titans, you imagine beating the Titans, then the Browns are going to have everyone's attention around the National Football League.
Facts. I want to rewind a little bit to Sunday's matchup, man. Yep. I want to point out two big plays in the game. One was the dropped interception by Terrence Mitchell on the last drive of Cincinnati when they actually went down to score and take the lead. That's a blown play. And like I told a lot of people before on the show, my wife is a huge Cleveland Browns fan. And Terrence Mitchell drops interception that was right in his hands, a miscommunication between Green and Burrow, dropped it. And I told her right there in the spot, Bengals about to score on this drive. She's like, how you know? Because when you give teams a extra opportunity when you could have foiled it and that would have been the game, they always do. Boom, Bengals go down there and score. And then the second play that really jumped out to me was on the the Browns' last drive. Remember, they have no timeouts. Actually, it's multiple things. One, the great Randy Bullock kicks the ball out the end zone, so they automatically get it at the 25-yard line. That's a bonehead play. That's probably on coaching. You might want to kick that inbounds so you have a return so you can burn more clock off the time. But the other play was Rashard Higgins, and he makes a catch on the sideline, and he falls to the ground, and he rolls out of bounds.
He tried to military crawl to get out of it.
Yeah, he rolls out of bounds. And I believe it was Sean Williams. Was it Sean Williams? No, it was Darius Phillips. He did the incomplete sign instead of tagging him. Because if you would have tagged him in bounds,
down right there,
clock keeps ticking. Remember, they have no timeouts. And then Mr. Darius Phillips gets beat for the game-winning touchdown. So the spotlight really should be on Darius Phillips for these bonehead plays by not tagging him if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan, because the clock would have kept ticking. But Higgins, smart, rolled out of bounds because he wasn't touched to save clock. So these are plays that you got to give credit to Hollywood Higgins, and you got to give bonehead plays to Darius Phillips for not making. So it's a lot there, man. It's a total thing to unpack, man, because as the Steeler games wraps up, and as soon as that's over, I'm back to the Bengals game fully locked in, and I see the whole thing unfold, and I'm just like, yo, you got to tag them. Got to keep the clock moving. This is the NFL. This ain't college football, man. So those are bonehead plays, and you got to give the Browns a lot of credit for taking advantage of the bonehead
having that
plays.
Awareness too.
Yeah.
You didn't fight fire with fire. It was, awareness too. Yeah. And the Browns had that.
Big time.
Some more. So Charles Tackett on Facebook says OBJ to the Rams. I think that makes a lot of sense too. I mean, they lost Cooks. They're looking to add. They got better while losing talent.
Yeah.
The Rams did. And McVay. I just don't know how much I'm sold. I mean, that division in the West. Everyone's above 500, and the Niners are banged up, man. David Shaw says to the OBJ to the Titans. As far as that's concerned, how about that? We didn't, with all the talk of the Browns-Bengals, we didn't even get to the real game of the week, which was the Titans and the Steelers. Congrats to your Steelers, by the way, because we're going to do. Eventually, we only have 20 minutes left. We're going to get to that top five, bottom five, which I promise you we're going to get into right now. But I promise you, as far as that goes. But it's going to be interesting, the future of that Browns with Baker Mayfield and OBJ. If Baker moves forward, like OBJ is going to be the symbol of the direction of the franchise. Here's why. if Baker goes on to have really good success for the rest of this year, if we see more of what we just saw against the Bengals, and I don't expect him to finish 22 of 23 every night. I don't expect that type of efficiency, but I expect efficiency. I expect more efficiency, and I expect him to look more confident and be comfortable out there. If Baker goes on to finish the year at that level, OBJ's gone. And it's not no hard feelings. It's just you got, if you could play at that level without him, then you can get some draft picks back and go fix that damn defense. Okay. That's where I'm at with that. If Baker continues to struggle moving forward, this is where OBJ becomes the symbol of where the direction of the franchise. OBJ is back next year, and they're exploring quarterback ideas in the offseason. I'm not going to overreact. The Bengals game was fun. I still think that Baker exists. That's why I get so mad when we label him a game manager, because I believe that Baker exists. The problem is to everyone's point, to all the Bengals fans, everyone I label a hater, I agree with you. Let's see it more. Let's see it against teams that count. I don't think the Raiders count. However, what would count is consistency. What would count is 2 weeks in a row of doing it. What would count is taking that success into the Titans game and maybe not throwing for 350 yards, but if you throw for 250 plus and 3 touchdowns and you don't turn the ball over, or maybe just even one, I'll buy in. But this is the biggest 2 weeks in the Browns franchise history is coming up right now, because you have to know. I mean, it's going to be a way for them to figure out who they are. OBJ will be the symbol of the direction of the franchise moving forward, who they buy into, because you can't keep both as far as that's concerned. Top 5, bottom 5. Let's get to it. Now, you want to start? We're going to start with Kev Nash's top 5. Kev Nash's top 5, ready, set, and roll.
Another top 5 for the week. We got the Ravens back in the top 5. There's penalties to pay when you lose games. So Seattle Seahawks, they are out of my top 5. Still in my top 5, though, is the Tennessee Titans. They're still hanging around in there at number 4. Green Bay Packers back on the winning side at number 3. Number 2 in their first appearance in the top 5. My beloved Pittsburgh Steelers with an awesome victory over the weekend. Almost blew it, though. Big Ben got to chill out on those interceptions in the end zone. Stop doing that. I also would like to point out my guy, Deontay Johnson, did ball out like I said he would. He will have a breakout season. He's back from concussion protocol. Let's go, Deontay. And number 1, of course, the champs. Still the champs. Chiefs.
Can't move the Chiefs. I'm with you. So that's Kev's top 5. One more time, take a look at Kev Nash's top 5. The Chiefs come in at number 1. The Steelers move all the way up to number 2, and rightfully so, again, beating the Titans. The Packers come in at number 3. They rebound after getting blown out by the Bucs last week. They get a big win yesterday. Again, when you're a good team like that and you get blown out one week, it's hard to believe you're going to get beat the second week. Right. And that's what happened. Titans at number 4 on Kev's list, and the Ravens at number 5. We'll move on to the Justin Kinner's top 5 list. Boy. My top 5, the Chiefs are at number 1. I'm surprised you don't have the Buccaneers, and I hate doing it because then Ron's like, oh, he's getting it. Ron thinks he has convinced me to go to his side. But I have the Buccaneers at number 2. And not just because I'm putting them there because of what they've done the last 2 weeks. I am doing that. I'm putting them at number 2, regardless of whether the fact that they just went and got Antonio Brown, because I don't know who Antonio Brown is at this point and what he brings. I know what he's capable of, but that's the problem. I know what he's capable of. So that's what, so I have the Bucs at number 2, but man, Tom Brady, you go from being labeled as this guy who does more with less. And you look at him, and he's had good guys on his roster, don't get me wrong, but he's never had this, an embarrassment of riches. To have Leonard Fournette, to have Antonio Brown, and those are just 2 new pieces that were already added into the talented roster mix to begin with. I have a hard time picking against Tampa Bay, especially out of the NFC. It's going to be, right now, as much as I love Seattle, their defense not having one, they're not even in my top 5. Seattle's out of my top 5 completely. The top team in the NFC is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to me, so I have them at number 2. Pittsburgh's at number 3. That win over the Titans was huge. Pittsburgh has been in my top 5 regularly for weeks now, and that's even with me hating the Steelers. But the Packers come in at number 4. Aaron Rodgers, and you can see, and I think that the reason I'm buying more into what Matt LaFleur and the Packers are doing with Aaron Rodgers, the more I'm seeing the Cowboys struggle with Mike McCarthy. Like, I'm starting to really buy into it. I was always labeling Aaron Rodgers as this diva, and he is a diva quarterback, don't get me wrong. But I was blaming him right away. But that was on Mike McCarthy. And he's proving it right now with the discombobulated locker room that he has in Dallas right now. That wasn't on Aaron Rodgers. That was him. Aaron Rodgers, some years were wasted because of Mike McCarthy's inability to lead a locker room, and that's frustrating. So I have the Packers there, and then coming in at number 5 on my top list, of course, even though I was stubborn at the beginning and said there's no way I'm going to ever let the Titans in. The Titans are in at number 5. They're legit, man. I still, their defense is not as strong as it was last year.
Right.
But man, I'm fine. I'm fine with putting the Titans in at number 5. Who were you stuck on? Like who were the
Tampa Bay? It was Tampa Bay or the Ravens for me. And you're probably right. It probably should be Tampa Bay in my top 5, but I just went with the Ravens.
All right, real quick to the Facebook feed. Doug Toby, we're back to the Browns-Bengals again. You just need to eat crow and admit that last week you was ready to dump his butt. Language. You can't jump on and off the Baker bandwagon. I've been a Bengals fan for 50 years, and I'm still on the wagon, loyal to a fault. Okay, I could appreciate loyal to a fault, but I don't think that was me being not loyal. Kev, I want your opinion on this. I feel like I should get more credit for as much as no. Listen to me. I hate you. I hate Doug. Bite me, okay? You, Kev, bite me. Listen, okay?
This should be good.
No, if like I felt like I was going to get more heat for trying to tell you Baker was good when he wasn't. So why are people mad at me? I wasn't disloyal to Baker when Baker's good. Baker's good. I say Baker's good. I praise Baker. I tell people I'm obnoxious about how good Baker is. When Baker's bad, guess what? I don't praise Baker. I was last week, and by the way, I never said the Browns need to get rid of Baker Mayfield. I never said that. I said they needed to go get Matt Ryan because Baker wasn't ready yet based on what we saw. And I'm not saying that one game for the Bengals all of a sudden erases that, but again, I think there's a bigger body of work at play here when you add Baker's rookie year without OBJ and what we saw. I don't think it's a coincidence. So Doug, I see your point, but I didn't jump off any bandwagon. I was all about Baker. When I was all about Baker, you told me Baker sucked. And then if I would say, no, Baker's great, I'm an idiot because I'm telling you Baker's great. So then I say, you know what? Baker's not playing well. The Browns really need to think about going to get a legit quarterback that can win with this group now. Now I'm not loyal, and now I'm a problem. You can't have it both ways. I feel like I'm the realest man in the room. I feel like I'm the only one keeping it 100. So with that being said, how can you hate on Kinner? Kinner's doing the right thing here. I should get praise. I should be told how great I am for sticking with Baker when he's good and calling him out when he's bad. That's called not being a homer. A homer is a guy that tells you after 3 interceptions against the Steelers that he's great. He wasn't great. He sucked. It was embarrassing. It was bad. And I felt they needed to at least explore Matt Ryan or someone that can come in and win with this talent. And then when he plays well, guess what? That's the Baker that I was high on his rookie year. I think I should get praise. I'm consistent. And I'm not a homer.
You're not a homer. I know that for sure. You're not a homer. We know homers.
It's not National Observers or whatever the hell, never mind.
I just think we're going to find out, man. We're going to find out if Baker is the guy or we're going to find out if Baker is Fitzpatrick. That's what I feel.
Fitzpatrick's that's not a bad thing to be. But no. Fitzpatrick was not number 1 overall in the draft. And that's why Baker will never get the same love as a Fitzpatrick, because Fitzpatrick made something out of nothing.
Right.
To where Baker, if you're picked number 1 overall, you're either great or you're not. There's no in between. That's the problem as far as that goes. Charles Mitchell says Kevin Nash runs Dayton. Baker is a child. Burrow is God. And I'm the problem here. Burrow is God. And why is Burrow God? Why is Burrow
Buckeye always a Buckeye?
He's not a Buckeye. He's an LSU Tiger. Go Tigers. He won Tigers a national championship. He couldn't even beat out Dwayne Haskins when he was there. And where's Dwayne Haskins right now? Go Tigers.
Oh, goodness. Who is your bottom 5, man?
Oh, you want me to start with my bottom 5?
Go ahead.
I'm glad you asked. And Charles pissed me off, God. So I'm glad you asked. I'm glad. So Justin Kinner's bottom 5. Where the hell is it? Hold on. Where is it? What's going on here? There it is. The New York Jets. 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 The New York Jets coming in as my worst team in the NFL at number 32. At number 31, I've broken up the NFC East because what I'm starting to see is a little fight from the Eagles. Mm-hmm. I can give the Eagles a little love. The Dallas Cowboys are number 31. The Giants are number 30. The Jacksonville Jaguars come in at number 29, and the Cincinnati Bengals are number 28. And until the Cincinnati Bengals learn how to win close games, you're not leaving my bottom 5 for the rest of the season. And I don't care if the Falcons get worse than what they are, because they should probably be in the mix. I was between them and the Falcons. But I feel like I'm being generous by not putting anyone worse than the Cincinnati Bengals in my bottom 5.
Oh, boy. Okay, so for me, 32, of course, it's the New York Jets. 31, Jacksonville. 30, the Giants. 29, welcome to the party, Dallas Cowboys. You are part of the bottom 5. And this was a tough one for me, and I probably should switch it. Currently, I have at 28, the Vikings. But you brought up a great point, man. I think I need to switch out. I think I need to take the Vikings out.
Bengals.
It's not the Bengals. You suck. I really think I'm going to put the Falcons in at 28 because the way they lose is laughable. Like, they scored a touchdown when they should have took a knee. He's trying to keep himself out of the end zone. Momentum carries him in the end zone.
Yeah, he goes, I didn't mean to score. Who says I didn't mean to score a touchdown?
And then you knew it was going to happen. You know, I shouldn't say we, I wreck the Lions all the time, but you kind of knew that was going to happen. Stafford, no time on the clock, goes right down the field, scores, and they win the game. You know what? Falcons, switch it. Falcons are out. They're 28, not the Vikings.
Not the Vikings?
Yeah.
Not the Vikings. Yeah, I got to keep the Bengals in for what you just said about the Falcons because of how they lose. And by the way, if the Bengals were getting blown out, they'd definitely be in my top 5. And people are like, well, how could they be in your top 5? They're in all these games. Yes, that means there is such a big flaw that is causing you to lose games that you technically shouldn't be in. That defense is bad. The offensive line is bad. But you find yourself in all these one-possession games. There's no excuse. You can't lose those. You know, and what's amazing to me, too, is that, you know, everyone that's, you know, riding the Joe Burrow train about, hey, he's so great, that offensive line is so bad, and he's still putting up 300 yards. Well, then maybe the offensive line's not that bad. Because if the offensive line's not that bad, or if the offensive line's that bad, Joe Burrow's not standing up to throw that many. I believe he's getting sacked. Maybe he's holding on to the ball too long. You ever thought about that? We say that all the time. That offensive line's not good. But if the offensive line was as bad as what people say, he would not have enough time to throw 300 yards. And let's be clear. He's third in the league in passing. So what? Does that mean that he's great? You know who's also top 3 in passing right now? Matt Ryan, by the way.
You're Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
You're Matt Ryan.
And I was told Matt Ryan was, well, I'm making too much of the total yardage for Matt Ryan because, well, he's behind in games a lot. Well, you know what? It's a good point. Sometimes when you are a quarterback that's leading the league in passing, it just means you play on a crap team. Mm-hmm. Matt Ryan, number 1. Deshaun Watson, number 2. Joe Burrow, number 3. Teddy Bridgewater's up there. All these guys at the top, their teams are bad. That's why. So Joe Burrow, I don't want to hear about total yardage. And by the way, Joe Burrow has thrown for 2,023 yards. Gardner Minshew has thrown for 1,855. So Joe Burrow has only thrown for 168 more yards than Gardner Minshew. And Joe Burrow's great. Joe Burrow's good. He's not great. And Charlie, he's definitely not God.
That's a fact.
You need to pray a lot more if you want to start winning some of these one-possession games. Maybe a few Hail Marys here and there. Jason Pruitt says the Bengals D is an embarrassment. Fix the D and you're 500. I think you need to fix the coaching. D's bad. I agree. Fix the coaching. Go get an adult. You should have when you had the chance. You should have went out and got Bieniemy. Because then he know what to do with that offensive line. Folks, this was fun today. We didn't even get into the college football stuff. And we're going to get into plenty of that tomorrow. Jay Paterno, the son of Joe Paterno, is going to join the show. I'm excited about that. So we'll talk with him about your Ohio State Buckeyes and their matchup with Penn State coming up this week. Wisconsin may not play. Wisconsin is basically, if that's the case, will not be in the college football playoff. And that eliminates a second Big Ten team being in the mix, Kev.
We'll see.
No, there's no. Folks, have a great night. We'll do this again tomorrow. I need a nap.
It's the